Chapter 63-28. The entire group of loose cultivators did not have a single cultivator in the infant transformation stage, so they were all ignored. You don't have to think about them for good things, and they are the first to look for bad things. The key is not qualified to refute. 13 chairs in the hall. 12 were all seated with the cultivators in the infant turning stage, and only one seated with a golden elixir of consummation, that is, the loose cultivator representative Chu Xiu. Although he frowned, he was willing to accept this plan in his heart. Because he is a loose cultivator, and he is also a representative of the loose cultivator, naturally he will not go by himself. Many scattered cultivators rely on him, and he also has to rely on those behind him. Both parties are cooperative. Now that the problem is with him, he won't fully resist. As soon as his mind power moved, he began to discuss countermeasures with dozens of Jindan stage loose cultivators. In the end, the draw was chosen. Naturally, Chu Xiu would not draw lots, but he also had to set an example, and he would personally go out in the third echelon. The two unlucky people who were drawn to the first echelon are only in the early stage of Jindan, weak in strength and no treasure. At the moment, their faces are gloomy, but they are also excited. If there is a big chance, they will be the first to benefit. The loose cultivator camp has already selected personnel in batches. The rest are the 9 sections. How these quotas are divided is much more complicated than loose cultivation. In the end, according to Hua Zuajian's proposal, each sect sent the same number of people. Don't say who suffers. If you want to blame it, you have too few strong people in your own sect. Zhujianmen did not come out in a golden stage, because Wang Lan was in the second echelon, and this risk was also very high. No one dared to comment. After all, the life of a cultivator at the infant transformation stage was 100 times more expensive than that of a cultivator at the Jindan stage. Among the 9 major sects, there are 7 sects with only one cultivator in the infant transformation stage, and no one dares to take this risk. But the detached Wang Lan dared to take this risk. Because he is only one step away from the late stage of infant transformation, the key point is that he has also obtained the Black Eye inheritance in the inheritance of God's Eye. He is very powerful in the same rank. Once he enters the late stage of infant transformation, he will definitely not be weaker than Hua Xuejian. So if you want to fight and the danger is not too big, the greatest danger lies in the first echelon. Among the selected monks, no one dared to take the first echelon. From all the sects, as long as one is willing to go to the first echelon, the third echelon can choose not to send cultivators. Faced with this temptation, several weaker sects finally launched a few Jindan cultivators who were not afraid of death. These 3 people are all very strong, and they all have one thing in common: they have been trapped in the golden core stage for too long. Since the manpower has been selected, let's go. Hua Zuajian's tone was serious. After glancing at everyone, he said, "This time you represent the Southern Heaven Realm, you must show your strongest state, and don't be in danger. Afraid, remember that you still have sects and family members to guard, eliminate demons and defend the way. My monks are bound to." Exorcism Guardian Road. Hua Xuejian nodded with satisfaction, and with a wave of her robe, she rolled up the crowd and left the battleship directly. By the time he appeared, the other 2 parties had already selected their personnel. The interior of the Northern Territory Glacier is not that complicated. They're all pure monks. It is okay to take risks, as long as there are enough benefits, and there is not much concern. Unlike the monks in the Southern Heaven Realm, they are concerned about their sects, their disciples, their families, and their families. This is no longer like a monk, more like a gate valve. As for the wild side, it was much simpler. Although there were many internal tribes, the plan given by Miao Renfeng made everyone have no opinion. That was the simplest lottery. Everyone draws together, and whoever draws will go. Of course, there are some stunned young people who are not afraid of death, rushing to the first echelon, but it seems much simpler. Everyone is ready, let's get started. The 3 nodded in agreement at the same time, and waved their hands to signal their subordinates to start secretly moving forward. The first echelon, 15 Jindan cultivators, quietly approached Mongshan County with the help of some treasures that shielded their breath. The 3 infant cultivators in the second echelon also used the same treasures to cover their breath and followed behind the first echelon. The third echelon does not have such good treatment, nor is there much danger, so there is no cover-up, but it has always maintained a distance of 50 miles from Mongshan County. Mongshan County. The entire city was terribly quiet, and there was no sound. But with the entry of 15 Jindan monks, this wild beast lurking in the dark night seemed to wake up. Jia. These idiots actually let some Jindan cultivators come to die. A figure on the city wall shook his head with a wry smile. Behind him, there are several people. One of the alien women said in a panic, "It's the powerhouse of our wild tribe. How come there are only these few? A dozen or so cultivators of the golden core stage. Don't tell me that this is the strength of the entire cultivation world, right? No, these people are just here to find out the truth, but they are going to be miserable." This group of people is Jian Wushuang and others. They had already arrived at Mongshan County City and entered the city directly. With Jian Wushuang's thought power shielding the breath, it is difficult for even the strong in the gods to find their traces. So not so much concern. When they entered the city at that time, as Yang Xiao said, there was no one in the city. They searched the entire Mongshan County City during the day, but they couldn't find the so-called altar. It is said that it is an underground altar, but the entire city cannot be dug. Just as they were in a hurry, the sky darkened. At this time, they found that the whole city was full of evil spirits transformed by resentment. And the strength is not weak. These ghosts devoured each other, and the strength gradually increased. Ghost cultivators have already appeared in the infancy stage, and spiritual wisdom has also appeared. Jian Wushuang, who saw this scene, decided to act at night, because he found that these ghosts were constantly emerging, which must be related to the altar. But after searching for a long time, he still couldn't find it, so he came to the city wall to carefully watch the changes in the city's evil ghosts turning into ghost cultivators, which made him discover something strange. These evil ghosts and serious ghosts devoured each other and evolved, and eventually became ghost cultivators. They began to evolve from the golden core stage. According to this number, the current ghost cultivators in the whole city can evolve into 3 ghosts who are at the peak of the baby transformation. This name is because of the symbol of the ghost repairing the chest. Innate warriors correspond to ghost pawns. Jindan cultivator corresponds to the ghost general. The counterpart of the infant cultivator is ghost handsome. The evil ghosts and ghosts who have not evolved, that is, the acquired level. But the acquired martial artist can't deal with this kind of evil ghost at all. Kill the soul, and the final attack is the shock of consciousness. At a higher level, it is a soul attack. So if you want to deal with these evil ghosts and ghost repairs, you must at least be a congenital warrior. Consciousness is the current strength of Jian Wushuang. So he is not in a hurry, but those monks outside are going to be miserable. Chapter 63-29. There are ghost generals in the 5 areas in the south, north, and center of the city, and there are even more ghost generals. There are hundreds of ghost generals in each area. Just sending more than a dozen Jindan stage cultivators, they can't turn any splashes of water, and once they come in, they will be submerged. Jian Wushuang did not regard those people outside as his opponents. What he was thinking about now was why this happened. The underground altar seals the power of the gods 1,000 years ago. And these ghosts should be blood sacrifices. At the beginning, they encountered many corpses on the way to Taiyan City, and when he was in the fishing village, he saw with his own eyes the scene of Emo Xiu taking the blood of mortals. These should all be done by Chiang Zong, and the person behind the scenes is the Emperor Tang. Jian Wushuang did not know that the current Tang Huang had been removed from the Li family. If it weren't for the preservation of the royal family's reputation, they would have been pulled out and cut. The underground altar, I'm afraid it's not that simple. With his knowledge, it can be seen that these evolved specters should be cultivating a perfect 3 souls and 6 souls. With the perfect 3 souls and 6 souls, you can control this perfect soul with just a little thought. If you have another powerful body, it is equivalent to using it as a perfect resurrection. However, it requires a little bit of mentality from the resurrected object. There are many ways to preserve mind power. There are tens of thousands of methods that Jian Wushuang knows, but only a few can appear in the mundane world. It is not surprising that such treasures or secret techniques to preserve mind power appear in the Red-Eye realm. Who is it to revive? Or is it to devour the perfect soul to improve one's own soul? The latter is too wasteful, the former is possible. But he didn't understand who to resurrect? The princess? Jian Wushuang's mind flashed across the imperial list that he had heard when he went to the first floor. Thinking of this, he looked at Qin Yuan, thinking of asking the other party if he knew about it. But when he saw Qin Yuan, he found that the other party had lost his mind, and there was an extra tear on his cheek. This surprised him. The last time he saw Qin Yuan cry was the last time. At that time, he told Qin Yuan about Azzy, who is crying now. He stepped forward, patted the other person's shoulder, and said with concern, "What's wrong?" It's okay." Chen Yuan's body trembled slightly, then he forbeared his emotions, and squeezed out a smile when he replied. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that Qin Yuan has something on his mind, and it has something to do with the evil spirits in the city. However, Jian Wushuang just wanted to know whether which imperial concubine had something to do with this place, so he didn't think too much about why Qin Yuan was so sad here. Hearing his question, Qin Yuan's expression instantly became embarrassed. "If you think it's hard to talk, I can block them." Jian Wushuang seemed to be concerned, but it also showed that the other party had to say something. Qin Yuan was very entangled, because this incident became his inner demon just like Az's death. But when he saw the ghosts all over the city, he felt that compared with the hundreds of millions of creatures, what was his little devil? No need to block, this matter won't be hidden for long anyway. Qin Yuan shook his head with a wry smile. When the others heard this, they all pricked up their ears and cast curious eyes. Xiang Yang squinted his eyes and teased, "What's the matter? Don't talk about the ghosts in this city, it's all yours." "Almost." Chen Yuan replied sternly, and the shocked crowd gasped. Even Jian Wushuang couldn't help frowning. He used his mind power to observe Qin Yuan over and over again, and found that there was no magic flame on the other side, not even the aura of sin. There is only a layer of causal energy. "What nonsense are you talking about, B?" But Chen Yuan shook his head and said, "I didn't lie, everything here is because of me. In fact, Az's death is all my fault, it's my fault." As he said that, he spit out a mouthful of blood. Jian Wushuang was afraid that he would die in a hurry, and immediately used his strength to open up the other party's veins. "I shouldn't be so greedy, I shouldn't be so greedy." Chen Yuan stabilized his body, but tears fell down. This scene really confused everyone. But after Qin Yuan told the truth, everyone suddenly understood. But there were also people who ran away because of it. Yang Xiao is. He rushed directly to Qin Yuan, grabbed the other party's collar, and shouted angrily, "It was you who killed Princess Yin, and you did such a wicked thing. Don't blame him." Jian Wushuang waved his hand to separate the two with his thoughts. It is also the Tang Emperor Li Miao who is to blame for this matter. Concubine Yin was just to be used. But this is Qin Yuan's heart knot, and it is also the heart knot of Zhan Xianwei, the first beauty of the Tang dynasty, because of the surprise attack of the alien king, caused the Jade Fall. Zhan Xianwei has been infamous for 3 years. Failing to protect the imperial concubine is also the knot in the hearts of Yang Xiao who are loyal to the Tang dynasty. As a result, now Qin Yuan told them that concubine Yin killed herself. This is a long story. It is the story of a failed scholar who has no face to return to his hometown. Qin Yuan didn't get into the top spot at all. After entering Beijing, he failed the first exam, but he was unwilling. Even if he had no money to stay in Taiyan City, lived alone outside the city. Inside a broken temple. Here comes the turn. The alien king raided, and Emperor Tang escaped from Taiyan City. On the way, accidentally went to the broken temple to escape. That night, only 4 people knew about the broken temple. Tang Huang, Han Gong, Qin Yuan and Huang. The so-called alien king raid at the time was nothing but a shocking scam. What Yi Wang wants is not the throne, but the imperial concubine. As for why he wanted to compete for the imperial concubine, Qin Yuan didn't know about it. However, at that time, King Yi was very strong, and there was also a terrifying strength around him, which could suppress immortal Zhanwei. Tang Huang can only escape. So he was afraid. Afraid of being robbed of the imperial concubine by the alien king, but he couldn't bear to do it. At that time, when he met a poor scholar, he hinted that Qin Yuan had killed the Yin Huangfei and was notorious for being a different king. As long as you start, you can enjoy all the glory and wealth. Arriving here, Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up. Qin Yuan is just a poor scholar without any background. If you kill Huangfei Yin, you will definitely be silenced. How can you keep Qin Yuan as an insider? It is normal to stay with Duke Han. The other party, an old who has lived for hundreds of years, must be so committed to the Tang emperors of the past dynasties that he will not be silenced. The key point is that Tang Huang has no ability to silence himself. But killing a Qin Yuan is as simple as blowing air. Why silence? This involves some kind of secret. Qin Yuan killed concubine Yin, but Emperor Tang was well prepared and left the concubine's mind in advance. Even if the body is gone, the soul is gone. With that trace of mind power, he can also revive the memory of that imperial concubine at a certain moment. As for the physical body, as long as it is kept properly, it can still be used in just 3 years. But this method of recovery has a requirement. Chapter 63:30. That is, Qin Yuan must live, because it is of great use. At this moment, Qin Yuan happened to appear in Mongshan County. Everything fits perfectly. The corners of Jian Wushuang's mouth, who gradually penetrated everything, rose slightly. He didn't hide it, and directly stated the intention of Emperor Tang Li Miao. It's not to comfort Qin Yuan, but to let them understand that these ghosts all over the city are for the emperor alone. Jian Wushuang did not believe that Li Miao wasted so much energy just to revive the imperial concubine. I am afraid that the imperial concubine may be more useful, so let him revive the imperial concubine at all costs. Everyone was surprised when they heard his guess. What a ruthless heart, what a ruthless method. Yang Shao's face revealed fear. This is the first time I'm afraid. It is more afraid than being chased and killed by the 9 golden cores in the later stage. Xiang Yang couldn't help frowning and trembled. With such a calculation, one can expect Qin Yuan to appear in Mongshan County. I'm afraid it's not the Emperor Kid who is calculating behind this. As expected, none of your Tang emperors is a good thing. The 1,000-foot Saintess did not forget to sneer at this time. Originally, he didn't care much about the internal affairs of the Tang dynasty, but after hearing such a terrible calculation, he couldn't help but feel a chill behind his back. Jian Wushuang was very stunned. In his opinion, it was just a way to become stronger. In the mundane world, it can be regarded as a good hand, and it is the normal means of a chess player. In terms of superb methods, he has seen too much, so he is not surprised, just curious about what is so special about the imperial concubine. Is it possible to make people fly? In the world of red eyes, this is what can make people so fascinated. There is news from Zhangxianlu. Tian City has undergone great changes, and Emperor Tang has been abolished. At this time, Yang Shao exclaimed when he received the news from inside Zhan Xianwei. But this matter is no longer important. Waste or not, the other party is a cultivator in the infantization stage. And there are powerful people with great supernatural powers behind them to help plan the layout. Is Wei Jiuxin here too? Yang Shao nodded and said, the commander has led the army to Mongshan County, and it's not far from the county seat. Tell him, don't let mortals come to die, just let him come alone. Jian Wushuang warned. Wei Jiuxin must know more, and he also wants to inquire about something from the other party. No, the commander will not come to the county town. Yang Shao shook his head and sighed. The commander came with the army. I am afraid it is to deter the cultivators from the wild tribes and the southern heaven realm. Is it possible that he has no interest in this place? Xiang Yang asked in surprise. Yang Shao nodded and said, yes, the great commander is about the common people in the world. He has no interest in soaring. This is why Emperor Tang is targeting the great commander. What a pity. Jian Wushuang sighed slightly. It doesn't matter whether someone who comes or doesn't come. Now, the most important thing is to find the altar. During their conversation, the second echelon of the three-way strength also entered the county seat. The first batch of people were almost dead, and they met a ghost handsome within 100 feet of entering the city, and they were still in the middle of the baby transformation stage, so they were considered unlucky. They stood leisurely on the city wall watching the battle. The rest are not so good. The three infant cultivators in the second echelon were shocked by the scene in front of them after entering the city. Even Wang Lan was the same. If you want to go deep into the county town, it doesn't show at all. Unless the three parties enter the county town together with their strength, they can kill a path. Otherwise, only with their own combat power, unless they are in the realm of gods, they can go in and out freely. Get out! Wang Lan didn't want to go deep at all. As for the monks in the first echelon, he didn't bother to care. Anyway, they weren't Jindan monks from his own sect, so he just turned around and left. The other two infant transformation cultivators also had the same idea. Staying behind would not have any effect at all. Instead, they might be dragged down by powerful ghost cultivators. Immediately withdrew from the county town. By the way, the third echelon was also called back. Because these people will die if they go in, there is no need at all. They can be considered to have heard a thing or two about things in Mongshan County. 50 miles away. In a huge ancient castle, there are gathered here the three major alliance cultivators, as well as a few Jindan cultivators. The entire county town is a ghost repair? Hearing this news, everyone's first reaction was disbelief. Because they felt nothing outside the city. This is also why the first echelon has no voice. It should be an enchantment blocking everything. It's hard to do now. There are ghost cultivators in the city, and there are many ghost cultivators at the level of infant transformation. Once they venture into it, the loss may not be calculated. Miao Renfeng was the first to feel a headache. Many people came from the wild, and the most powerful people gathered outside Mongshan County, because there were many innate powerhouses in Nantian realm outside Mongshan County. Once they attacked the city, it seemed that they suffered a loss. Ghost cultivator? He meditated silently in the bottom of his heart, and immediately noticed it, and immediately said, since it's a ghost cultivator, it's useless for ordinary congenital warriors to enter. I think it's better to gather all the monks above the Jindan stage and attack together. City, not to mention killing all those ghost cultivators, at least find the main altar of Qiang sect. As long as the key figures are killed, why not kill those ghost cultivators if they stay and kill them slowly? He can be considered to have grasped the essence of Hua Xuejian, and these words are not leaking. Hua Xuejian was not angry when she heard that her words were robbed, but smiled and said, Miao leader's proposal is good. The most important thing at the moment is to find the main altar of the demon sect, so that we can catch everything in one go. Since it is a ghost cultivator, it must be gold. Only the alchemy cultivator can deal with it. I agree with this proposal. The two made a decision, leaving Zhang Xianxing alone. He also had no reason to refuse. It's better to rush in together and save the intrigue. I agree too. After the three parties had no problem, they passed the news on. After a stick of incense, gather all the powerhouses and attack the city together. No, exorcism guardian road. The wild animal horns blew, and with the order as the order, thousands of Jindan monks gathered together at the same time, divided into 3 teams, but the trips were unified. Such a large team of monks can be regarded as the last glimmer of glory left after the ancient times. Infant cultivators also gathered dozens of people. There are more than 1,000 monks in the Jindan period. Together they marched into Mongshan County. The next moment they entered, another horn sounded. Wei Jiao is here. He came with 1,000 troops to kill. In addition to Wei Jiaoxian, Chang Feng took another group of troops and killed the Nantian County army along the coast. Taking advantage of the absence of the strong on both sides, this is a feast of slaughter. The blood stained the earth. The warriors of the wild tribes, although brave and good at fighting, can't stand the point killing of Zhang Xianwei. All the stronger innate warriors were instantly killed. The rest were directly crushed by the crowded army. Chapter 63-31. Together with the beasts of war, They were strangled to kill the city flesh mud. In this battle, there is no suspense in winning, and the fight is also decisive, and the withdrawal is also very neat. And Wei Jiuxian stayed with Zhang Xianwei. It was in the old castle where the three forces had gathered before. "Commander, the coast is over too, and Lord Chang Feng Chang will be here soon." Wei Jiuxian, dressed in white, looked pure and flawless. Sitting on the seat of Hua Shuejian's seat, he nodded dazedly, as if the previous killings had not been a slap in the face. "Have the 10 permanent servants all gathered?" He Ying replied truthfully, "Number 10 is beside Lord Chang Feng, and the rest are waiting outside." "Good." Wei Jiuxian nodded with satisfaction. Today's battle, he is very satisfied. Taking advantage of this opportunity, he eliminated the threat of the Southern Heaven Realm and the threat of the wild tribes. As for Mongshan County, it was an Azura field. How many people are not enough? Now we can only wait and wait for the real people behind the scenes. His mission is half completed. Protecting the Tang dynasty has now been done. The other half is to clear the portal. At this time, a report came from outside the door, and there was a strong atmosphere approaching this place. As soon as he finished speaking, the breath had already arrived. It was a woman in a white robe and a green shirt. Her temperament was incomparably cold, and she was carrying a mighty divine sword on her back. Wei Jiuxian was a little surprised when he saw the person coming. He doesn't know this person. But in terms of breath, it was definitely stronger than those infant transformation cultivators he had seen. It is likely to be a great cultivator of the divine phase. But he was not flustered at all, not even afraid. Wei Jiuxian asked calmly, "Your Excellency, is there something wrong? Your strength is good. It's rare that you can maintain a calm heart after seeing me." The cold woman actually praised Wei Jiuxian. This made Wei Jiuxian even more confused. After thinking about it, he thought of Baoguang Temple. If you talk about the most mysterious place in the world of red eyes, the first is the glacier in the northern region, and the second is the Baoguang Temple. Because Baoguang Temple, there is a true immortal. Moreover, it has been widely rumored that the Master Fanxin who opened Baoguang Temple was a monk in the infant transformation stage, but it was not the case. In Wei Jiuxian's view, the other party must be a monk in the phase. Otherwise, how could it be possible to seal another great cultivator of the outer god phase realm 1,000 years ago? Moreover, the sealed god phase realm is from the 1,000-foot tribe, and its strength has reached the peak of the god phase realm, and it is one step away from the shattered void. If you can seal such a character, then this Tang dynasty's son-in-law is likely to have the strength to shatter the void. And the woman in front of her has a high probability of knowing that Master Fanxin. "Your Excellency is wrong." Wei Jiu laughed slyly. The cold woman said with a rare smile, "You miss an old friend of mine very much. I wanted to search your soul, but now I have changed my mind." "Oh." A smile leaked from the corner of Wei Jiuxian's mouth, and said, "Although Wei has not reached the realm of the gods, he has some confidence. I am invincible under the gods, and the gods are exchanged. When you say these words, it's more like it." After the cold woman finished speaking, her eyes flashed, and a sharp sword eye broke out instantly. The sudden terrifying sword chi did not make Wei Jiuxian panic, but just raised his hand and waved the sword chi to dissipate it. But the bottom of his heart was particularly shocked. Just a look, his arm numb. If he really does it, he may not be able to make 3 moves under the opponent's hands. However, he also has a trump card, and the change of the gods is not just talking about it. It's just this whole card that he can't use easily. The strength is good, but if you want to change your life with the gods, it's still a little worse. The cold woman turned around and left. Wei Jiuxian got up at this time and asked, "I don't know your name, Taboo?" "Fu Qing." After the cold woman finished speaking, she immediately broke through the air and left, heading straight for Mongshan County. Wei Jiuxian chased after the entrance of the ancient castle, and while looking at Mongshan County, 2 powerful breaths flashed across the sky. It's the 2 Arhats here. This is not surprising to him because he already knew it. Datong still has some trump cards, and he naturally has to make good use of it. One person alone cannot sweep away this old snow. Fan Exon, you should be there soon. Wei Jiuxian's eyes flickered, and his eyes turned to the north. Northern Glacier. The cold wind is fierce. This place is extremely unsuitable for mortals to live in, but it is a paradise for monks. Because the ancient glory is buried here. The scene where the myriad immortals ascended seemed to be just yesterday. The perennial snow has made glory sink under the glacier. In the white world, a figure in black is particularly dazzling. His face is haggard, but his eyes are full of light. More than 1,000 years. Enough, it's worth it. He took one step and directly climbed the iceberg. This is the polar region of the glaciers in the northern region and the highest position in the world. Looking from here, overlooking the entire Red-Eye realm. Fan Exen, Fan Chen Go. The haggard-faced monk head folded his hands, silently reciting the Buddhist scriptures, and streaks of golden light erupted behind him. The surging power erupted from the top of the mountain, and countless golden lights burst out, piercing the white glacier. The light appeared, and a huge vibration erupted into the glacier. Under the illumination of the Buddha's light, the silence of the place has been broken for thousands of years. Countless cave dwellings in the glacier collapsed, and many monks who were in retreat were also awakened. They hurriedly left the cave dwelling that was about to collapse, and burst into the air. After seeing the scene below, they all revealed expressions of horror. Who is it? Dare to destroy the Tianshan Mountains? Do you want to die? Damn, I have been in retreat for 1,000 years, and I have just realized the mystery of breaking through the realm of the gods. Who disturbed me? Most of these loose cultivators who have been in seclusion all year round did not go to Mongshan County, and there were not many of them, but their strength was not weak. At this moment, they all looked at the golden light on the towering iceberg. Look, it's Buddha light. On the top of the sky, the black-clothed monk head ignored the loose cultivators of the northern glaciers, but silently closed his eyes. The moment he closed his eyes, he glanced at this world and recalled everything he had experienced. When the eyes are closed, it is a different way for humans and ghosts, and the separation between heaven and human beings. This person is the son-in-law of the Tang dynasty and the founder of Baoguang Temple. He Jian Wushuang will be very surprised to see him, because this person is the mortal who received them when they entered Baoguang Temple. Fanshin, also called Fanshin. All mortals and mortal hearts have understood, and it is already the day of the end. When he sits and transforms, the heavens and the earth cease, and the Buddha's light disappears. The vitality is also instantly drained. Those scattered cultivators of the northern glaciers were stunned, just died like this? They don't understand. How is the inheritance shot in the Tianshan Mountains? There should be some movement, but in the end there is no movement, and that person has fallen. An inexplicable fear rose up in the hearts of everyone. I feel the great terror. Chapter 63-32. Me too, it seems like I'm under the glacier. At this time, someone recognized the identity of Fanshin and exclaimed, "He is the heart of 1,000 years ago, and the dust of 1,000 years later." That infatuated monk from Datong? That's right. At this time, everyone suddenly understood. The very lucky boy 1,000 years ago had an inheritance in the glacier, and his strength rose by leaps and bounds. And now it has fallen silently. Obviously, it has something to do with the original inheritance. Just as the waves in their hearts were turbulent, Tianshan trembled, and a terrifying aura erupted from the ground. Everyone took a sip. Below, there seems to be something. That breath is the source of terror. A cultivator in the infant transformation stage stared at the crack in the Tianshan Mountains in horror. At this time, a white light appeared in the distance, and then a man in white clothes and a tall crown appeared. When he saw the corpse of Fanshin, he couldn't help sighing. It's too late. This person is the true immortal of Baoguang Temple and is a good friend with Fanshin. And he also has an identity, that is, a monk in the upper realm. Known as a true immortal, it is also because he is in the upper realm, he is really an immortal. You shouldn't have fallen like this. Your talent is far beyond mine. Once I ask the master to come, I can definitely take you away. Why go back to an ancient demon? He couldn't help sighing. He doesn't understand this kind of thing, Maybe it's because he's from the upper realm. Ordinary people pay attention to cause and effect, and practitioners also pay attention to cause and effect, but no matter how great cause and effect are, they can't block their own cultivation path. But Fanshin is able to die and understand the cause and effect willingly. This is a very stupid thing in the eyes of real practitioners. At that time, Fanshin took the benefits of the ancient demon and promised the other party that he would release the ancient demon when he had fully understood the secret method. But he also has a requirement, that is, not to hurt mortals. The recovery of the ancient demon can slaughter the monks in the world, but it must leave a way for mortals. Both sides agreed verbally. Mortal Chen repaid the kindness, but the ancient demons may not keep their promises. So Jinxian felt that Fanshin was too stupid and naive. Now that the ancient demons have recovered, I wonder if the world will be peaceful. Oh, I hope you don't go too far. Jinxian sighed, glanced at the terrifying ancient demon that was about to break out of the ice, turned and left the place. If he wants to return to the upper realm, in addition to the help of the strong in the division, he can also shatter the void again and leave, but the power required is too huge. Originally, he wanted Fanshin to help, but the other party wanted to die. It's up to you now. But Mangshan County is a good option. And his sister-in-law has gone. He should also go back to clean up the mess now, get that power, and be promoted again. The true immortals walked away lightly, and those scattered cultivators of the northern glaciers were miserable. It was already too late to leave at this time. The ancient demon shattered the glacier, stretched out a sharp claw, and directly crushed an infant cultivator to death. Wow! The blood made the ancient demon extremely excited. He howled, and his entire body broke free from the Tian Shan Mountains. Oh eyes! The ancient demon broke free from the shackles of the iceberg and completely appeared between heaven and earth. He is 100 feet tall, with 9 heads, 8 arms and 6 feet. Each head is extremely ferocious, but the head has no eyes, only a large mouth of blood. The eyes of the ancient demon are on the chest. It was a blood-colored eye, like a big fireball. Very dazzling. Looking at the monks who had received the inheritance of the divine eye, a ray of light burst out from the blood eyes, and the monk who was hit became on the spot. Only the powder that the flesh turned into was left, and the power and blood were absorbed by the ancient demons. Wow, the taste of blood, I haven't tasted it for a long time. All the creatures in this world will become my nourishment. The ancient demons attacked the entire northern glaciers and hunted cultivators frantically. Despite his huge body, his speed is not slow at all. One step is 100 miles away. The infant transformation cultivators scattered and fled, but 90% of them were still dead. Only 10% got away with it. But they knew that there would be no more peaceful people in this world. Even if he escaped now, once the ancient demons are staring at him, there is no way to hide this acre of land in the Red Eye realm. It didn't take long for the ancient demon to traverse the Scarlet Eye realm. One day, all the monks will be hunted down. But despair returns to despair. Even if there is a glimmer of hope, they will fight for it. Dao Kuei is in the Tang dynasty in the eastern land. Hurry up and join forces with Dao Kuei, then the ancient demon probably won't go to the Tang dynasty for a while. Everyone flees separately. De Tang gathers. It is good. The surviving digital infant cultivators nodded, then dispersed and fled wildly. As expected, the ancient demon did not chase after him immediately, but started to destroy the glacier in the northern region. Wanyan Shenbing was smashed to pieces by the 8 arms of the ancient tomb. Through the blood-red eyes, the entire northern territory glaciers were turned into a vast ocean. This is the strength of the ancient demon. It is no longer simple for you to break the void. Now the ancient tomb has the strength beyond the realm of the gods. God-eye inheritance? 8 arms of the ancient demon surrounded a colorful hall and directly pulled it out of the sea. It turned out to be the inheritance of the 3rd sequence. No wonder I was suppressed here. 108 ancient regions gave birth to 108 of our gods and demons. 72 were killed, and now the rest are. I am afraid they will all be suppressed by the Divine Eye clan. Ancient demons are extremely intelligent. He is also a powerhouse in the upper realm, and the oldest group of congenital beings are special beings, whose life genes far exceed those of acquired beings, and their natural divine power is thousands of times that of ordinary people. The original world had just formed an ancient domain, and each of their ancient demons had inexhaustible resources, and they quickly cultivated to a very strong height. But later, with the continuous increase in the number of human races, and the high level of comprehension, even if there is no ancient demon's powerful level of divine power, it still rises. And the speed of the rise made them too late to react. You must know that the ancient demons slept once for tens of thousands of years, or even longer. At the beginning, the human race was not considered at all, and they were all kept as poultry in captivity. But when they reacted, the human race had already appeared a super-existence that could rival them. And the number is still increasing. They wanted to suppress them, and these human races united and established the heavenly court. At the beginning, the heavenly court respected the inheritors of the divine eye. The strength of those inheritors is against the sky one by one, not only catching up with their footsteps, but also quickly surpassing the ancient demons. In just tens of thousands of years, the age of ancient demons was shattered. The ancient demons have been beheaded continuously, and the ancient domains have also fallen into the hands of the human race. Until the last 36 ancient demons fought to the death, even if they lost, they would shatter their ancient domain and not leave it to the human monks. That's why the ancient domain was broken. For the ancient demon, the fragmentation of the ancient realm is equivalent to self-destruction of the foundation. Chapter 63:33 destroyed the ancient domain, and its own strength also declined greatly. In the end, they were suppressed one by one, or they were beheaded and refined into magic weapons. The ancient devil is full of treasures, especially blood. This is also the reason why the human race frantically besieged the ancient demons. Fortunately, there was a problem within the heaven at this time. The powerhouse of the Divine Eye clan suddenly fell, and the inheritance of the Divine Eye was recovered a lot, and the siege of the ancient demon stopped. And the reason he survived was because of the subsequent repression. He was suppressed by a peerless sword immortal in the Red Eye world, and the magic weapon used to suppress him was the third sequence Divine Eye Inheritance Hall. He hated this hall too much. The rise of the human race was because of the inheritance of the God Eye race. Later, he was suppressed because of the Divine Eye clan, so he hated the Divine Eye inheritance. I want to shatter this Divine Eye Inheritance Hall. However, when he found out that it was the third sequence inheritance palace, he gave up. Even in the upper realm, this third sequence inheritance hall is the top-level inheritance of divine eyes, and he can't break it at all. Even the existence that suppressed him back then couldn't break through this hall. Otherwise, that person would not use this hall to suppress him. Since it can't be broken, I will use you to destroy the entire Red Eye realm. The ancient demon sneered, and he didn't care at all about what he promised Fanchon. Originally, it was an exchange. Without his help, Fanchon would have died long ago, and there is no place for the glory of the Tang dynasty. Speaking of which, the brilliance of the Tang dynasty was created by him. Kindness. The ancient demon's huge eyes turned for a moment, his mind power covered thousands of miles around, and he noticed that the cultivators who escaped were all heading towards the Tang dynasty. The direction of Dongtu made him feel a familiar breath, and that breath also came from the blood of the ancient demons. There is actually a same clan in the Red Eye realm? The ancient demon was stunned for a moment, and then he was pleasantly surprised to discover that the existence with the same aura as him had lost its life force and was obviously a dead thing. I didn't expect my luck to be so good. As long as I absorb that power, I will be able to recover to the peak. Even if I don't have the ancient realm, I can go to the upper realm to grab an ancient realm, and then I will have a good time with the God Eye clan and those who inherited it. Those who do the math. After paying attention, he held up the entire Divine Eye Inheritance Hall and flew to the 9 heavens. Get some interest first. The ancient demon raised the Inheritance Hall and smashed directly into the realm of chaos above the 9 heavens. That is the hardest space in the entire Red Eye realm. None of the gods in the Shattered Void and Ascension can shatter the chaotic void and soar. They are all space under the Shattered 9 days. The best of them can shatter the first day or even the first day. 2 days have been amazing. According to legend, someone accepted the complete inheritance of the divine eye and shattered the space of the 9th day. But the space of the 9th day, in the final analysis, still belongs to the red-eye world, and the chaotic void does not belong to this world. It belongs to a higher world. Once broken and ascended, it is likely not to go to the 72 ancient regions. Of course, this is just a guess. But he will do it now. Break the chaotic void, introduce chaotic airflow, and make the world of red eyes a dead world. Smash me, boom. The ancient demon raised the divine eye inheritance hall and slammed into the chaos realm. Suddenly the whole world shook. Not only is the northern territory shaking, but the entire red-eye realm is shaking. Kindness. The ancient demon looked a little surprised at the chaos realm, but there was not even a single crack. The blow just now was enough to shatter 9 heavens. It didn't even leave a trace on the chaos world. Damn, the strength is too powerful. If there is no suppression of heaven, I can easily break this chaos world. The ancient demon smashed it several times, but still failed to break through the chaos realm and gave up directly. Since the chaos realm cannot be broken, then the 9 heavens will be broken, and there will be no ascenders in this world from now on. Guemojie smiled and fell into the 9 heavens. Tamum. Boom. This time there was more movement. The entire red-eye world continued to shake for a stick of incense, and some flat bottoms suddenly gave birth to mountains, and some places that were originally mountains became gaps. This kind of supernatural ability to change the terrain has caused countless deaths and injuries to mortals. What's more terrifying is still behind. The ancient demon's broken 9 days turned into space fragments and fell from the sky. Countless black space crystals turned into rainwater and sprinkled on the world. 9 heavens was broken, and the human world merged with the crystallization of the 9 heavens space, which enhanced the originally fragile space several times. In this way, all monks have no hope of shattering the void and ascending. Since then, soaring has become a swan song. It's just that the people in the deep Mongshan County did not notice any changes in the outside world. On the other hand, the really immortal Tooth was itchy, watching the black rain dripping from the sky, and said angrily, "Wait, as long as you dare to go to the upper realm, I will kill you." What he hates is not that the Jyotian space is broken, nor is it that the red-eye realm can no longer soar. The anger is that the other party integrated the third-order inheritance hall into the broken 9 days. In this way, it will become more difficult for him to enter the third sequence divine eye inheritance hall. Entering the red-eye realm is for this inheritance hall. As a result, it was thrown into the space debris by the idiot of the ancient demon. At this moment, it seems to be floating in the sky, but to get in, it needs the same space debris. And those fragments merged into the ground space. Finding the same pieces is as difficult as going to the sky. Big trouble. Zhenxian and his younger sister Fu Qing are stationed in the castle outside the city. Wei Jiuxian also looked at the raindrops falling from the sky, but there was no fear in his eyes. As if everything was to be expected. Seeing his appearance, Zhenxian seemed to have guessed something and asked, "Fanshan left you behind?" "It's just a little trick." Wei Jiuxian replied in a daze. The true immortal sighed, "Then don't do anything in action, save your means and run away." This ancient demon once controlled an ancient domain, and his power is not comparable to those of you mortals. How will you know if you don't try? Wei Jiuxian said firmly. Zhenxian and Fu Qing looked at each other, with a look of arrogance in their eyes, which was disdain for mortals. Because they come from the upper realm and no more, in the entire red-eye realm, he also recognizes the mortal world alone. The power of the upper realm is not as simple as those described in the inheritance, but it is so powerful that mortals can't imagine it. Because the current upper realm is no longer the era of ancient demons, most of the records in the inheritance are the era of ancient demons, and the era when the human race united against ancient demons has long passed. However, although it is countless times stronger than before, its strength in the lower realm has been suppressed. Although the strength of the ancient demons is also suppressed by the heaven, but their own strength is 1,000 times that of the human race, they are still not opponents. Dear, click in and give a good review. The higher the score, the faster the update. It is said that after giving full marks to Xiangshu novels, they found a beautiful wife at the end. Chapter 63-34. If you want to win, you must pay some price, and this price may make them fall. It's really not possible. I will crush the token given by the master, and with the strength of the master, it is easy to come to this world, and I can also kill the ancient demons and obtain the inheritance hall. Zhenxian felt ruthless in his heart. But he wouldn't crush the token until it was a last resort, because it is related to his status in the division. And there is only one token for this kind of help. Once you use it, it's gone. If you want to get it later, you don't know when you will have to wait. If you need the help of the master in the mortal world, you can't let him rise up in the same sect. Senior brother, there seems to be some movement in the city. Fu Qing frowned and looked in the direction of the city. Zhenxian also glanced over. As soon as the thought force moved, he felt that the soul force was growing wildly. His eyes froze for a moment, and his tone was surprised. What's going on? Those monks who entered Mongshan County, why are the power of their souls increasing rapidly? Under the induction of mind power, he directly penetrated the barrier that isolated Mongshan County, and felt the rapid growth of the soul power of the monks in the city. The soul power of the digital infant monks has reached the realm of the gods. This accident was even more surprising than when he saw the ancient demon, because the increased power of the soul is permanent. I didn't expect that there is such a secret technique in the mortal world. Junior sister, let's hurry in. Zhenxian was overjoyed. He noticed that after those cultivators killed Ghost Xiu, they automatically absorbed Ghost Xiu's soul power, which was the reason why their soul power skyrocketed. And the reason for all this is because of the enchantment of Mongshan County. It is said that it is an enchantment, but it is actually more like a large formation. Those ghost cultivators devoured each other and produced stronger ghost cultivators because of this great formation. After Zhenxian finished speaking, Fu Qing's complexion also changed. The soul practice method is the most mysterious practice method. Even in the upper realm, it is also the top secret method, even if neither of them have practiced the complete soul secret method. Therefore, the power of the soul is only one level higher than the realm. It is not the top, but practicing the secret technique of the soul can increase the power of the soul, so as to fully exert the combat power of its own realm. The power of the soul in their cognition is used in this way. If you reach Yanxian, the power of the soul will not be used like this. Because Yanxian can control some of the heavens, the requirements for the power of the soul are even higher. At the time of the emperor, mastering the Tao and controlling a magnificent world requires more soul power. Therefore, they will cultivate the soul secret technique to increase their own mind power, so as to control the Tao. But this increase does not belong to itself. Just like Jian Wushuang's eternal change, the power required to increase is greater, and its own divine power has not actually increased. Only increasing one's own divine power is the most important thing. The same is true of the power of the soul. Only the increase in nature is the most useful. Once the power of the soul exceeds the two levels of their own realm, the two of them can definitely enter the core of the teacher's door, become a contemporary Daozi, and practice more powerful secret methods. The only pity is that this is the mundane world. That's why they want to get this kind of formation of captive ghosts. Once they get this formation, don't say that they will invite the master to come. Even if they invite the first powerhouse of the sect to come, the other party will have any complaints. Instead, they will be rewarded. But there is one thing that they have to screen in advance, that is, whether there is a higher level of this large formation. If not, then the value is a lot of small joy, but it can also be used to train low-level disciples, which is also considered a great achievement. Anyway, it can be compared to that token of his own. This is the real plan. Wei Jiuxin in the castle was at a loss, just watched the two leave without following. He has more important things to do here. Inside Mongshan County, Jian Wushuang, who hadn't shown up for a long time, sat cross-legged on the city wall and watched the slaughter between the monks and the ghost repairers, and had no interest in it, because his soul realm is too high. In the 9 Prisons Pagoda, his soul realm already has the level of Yanxian. In the mortal world, he has also risen to the pinnacle of the realm of gods. There is no need to kill these ghost cultivators to improve the soul realm. But Xiang Yang and Jiang Shang needed it, as well as Yang Shao and the 1,000-foot Saintess, and under his guidance, they went downstairs to kill Ghost Xiu early. In fact, he found this benefit from the very beginning, but he just felt that there was no need to say it, because it was completely inconsistent with what he wanted. But now I can't find the altar, so I sent them to kill the ghosts below, thinking that all these ghost repairs have been eradicated. Will they find the answer? No way. Now he can only rely on this stupid method to test. Swish. 2 breaths rose into the sky and instantly descended on Mongshan County. The intensity of the breath surpassed the previous 9 dust immortal. Definitely the powerhouse in the realm of gods. It's 2 more gods and there are 4 of them. The Tang dynasty is really deep enough. Jian Wushuang frowned a little surprised. There were 2 monks who came before, both of them in the early stage of the gods, with average strength. But the 2 gods who came this time, the lowest is the late god's cultivator. At this moment, he also plunged into the vast ghost repair and began to fight hard. Their beheading speed is much faster than those of the 3 parties. Of the 3 major forces, the 2 strongest are only the early and middle stages of the divine phase realm. As for the southern heaven realm, it is the most ostentatious, the weakest, and does not have a single god phase realm. Also the most embarrassing one. The 3 major forces are divided into 3 regions. The 2 arhats went to another area. Jinxian and Fu Qing, who came later, went to the central area. But the speed of the siege is still not enough, and it will take at least an hour to kill the whole ghost repair. No, the gods and demons in the sky won't give them so long. Jian Wushuang sighed in his heart. He noticed the demon in the sky when the seal was broken. Although there is an enchantment here, how can he lose much of his exploration? Even Jinxian and Fu Qing can feel the things in the city from the outside world, let alone Jian Wushuang. He was also surprised when he noticed that the gods and demons were born. Why is this mortal world able to withstand gods and demons? But it was found that the strength of the other party was also suppressed, and he was relieved. Even he was suppressed by this world, let alone that and demon. It seems that I have to do it myself. Although I don't like the power of the soul, I have to make a move now. As long as he finds the altar and obtains those powers, he can quickly absorb it and reach the peak of the phase. At that time, the demon would no longer be his opponent. Don't look at his mortal body now, but every time his strength grows, he can use hundreds of thousands of more secret techniques and supernatural powers, and they are all top-level supernatural powers. Chapter 63-35. Update the latest chapter of Wandao Sword Sovereign as soon as possible. Killing a demon of the same level is simply an easy task. Infant transformation is not that obvious yet, but once you reach the realm of gods, it is a leap. Because of the secret techniques recorded in his mind, the weakest is the Myriad Vientiane secret technique. With his powerful soul power, he has to wait until the realm of the gods to be able to cultivate. In his eyes, those small tricks were not even secret methods. However, burning thought power does not count, because this does not depend on the realm's strength, but on the power of the soul. Chen Yuan, don't move around here, I'll go back when I go. Jian Wushuang instructed, and then broke through the air. The figure flew directly to the center of the city. At this moment he is no longer hiding his breath, and he just appeared in the sky above the 2 gods. After Jinxian and Fu Qing felt Jian Wushuang's breath, they just frowned slightly, feeling that Jian Wushuang was a little ignorant and dared to come to their area to ghost Xiu. I originally wanted to educate me, but the next moment a terrifying thought force suddenly descended on the whole city. Mind power burns. Jian Wushuang snorted softly. The whole Bodhi's thought power exploded at the same time, burning exponentially, and the terrifying suppressing force suddenly made the ghost repairers in the whole city stand in place and couldn't move. Destroy! Jian Wushuang patted it with one hand, and the huge palm print formed by the power of thought was like a divine weapon descending from the sky. With just one move, 90% of the ghost repairers were crushed. Among them, There is also the ghost handsome who has the soul power of the gods. But still Doi Jian Wushuang was easily crushed to death. If it is the real god phase realm, it may not be able to crush the opponent, but it is only a spiritual body, and he has no difficulty in dealing with it. All the monks who were shocked by this move were sweating coldly behind their backs. Jian Wushuang, who looked at the sky at the same time. Zhenxian and Fu Qing were the same, with disbelief in their eyes. The suppression of the thought power just now made both of them shocked. Without the thought of resistance, they struggled for a few breaths before reacting. The coercion of such a powerful thought force absolutely surpassed the realm of the gods. Zhenxian looked at Jian Wushuang's figure and exclaimed, "Could it be that he has already reached the Vientiane realm? Impossible, the heavenly way of the mortal world will never allow the existence of the Vientiane realm. Once it exists, it will be killed. Only by becoming a transcendence can it be done." Fu Qing retorted. But the reality was in front of them, and they had to believe it. Could he be a detached existence? But the breath could not deceive the two of them. Jian Wushuang's breath is very weak, only in the infant transformation stage. If it weren't for the lack of time, he could have gone to the outside world to absorb those scattered space crystals, but it was too troublesome to collect. Unlike the ones he got from Jiuchen, they were all made by others. Even if he scoured the entire Mongshan County, he couldn't find such a large piece. Even if he was lucky enough to find the same space crystal as before, after absorbing it, at most the early stage of advanced gods, it was still not enough for gods and demons to fight. He had to get that power inside the altar. But with such a powerful thought force, he couldn't find the altar, and he was more anxious than anyone at this moment. Regardless of the surprised expressions of those people, Nian Li continued to investigate Mongshan County. The remaining ghost cultivators were quickly killed by the cultivators. After all, everyone wanted something that could grow their soul. In the empty city, after the ghost repair was gone, it was a lot quieter. The monks also started looking for the altar. Even started destroying houses to find them. Zhenxian and Fu Qing lost interest and were about to leave. Just before leaving, I want to test Jian Wushuang. But before they could test it out, Jian Wushuang burst out with a terrifying thought force that shook the two back. "Idiot, is that and demon staring outside? If you don't hurry to find the altar, when that and demon arrives, you will all be finished." Jian Wushuang was also a little annoyed at the moment. He will not die, nor will Jiang Shang and Xiang Yang. Because he has the 9-prison tower, the big deal is to let the soul clones in the tower make an opening and let them enter the treasure for refuge. As for the defensive power of the treasure, let alone the gods and demons in the outside world, even if Dian Immortal came, it could not be broken. It's just that it will be difficult to break the void. I'm afraid it'll be stuck for a long time. He didn't want to be trapped, and he would have to toss at that time. The point is to not want to be stuck in the mortal stage. Because of this stage, he cannot improve the strength of the deity. If the deity is trapped, you can still cultivate and improve your strength to break the cage, but now the deity is gone. Once he is trapped, it is a waste of time, and the improved strength will not help the deity. And he wants to explore the world, not be trapped in this world. After Zhenxian and Fu Qing were scolded, they were stunned for a moment, and then sarcastically said, "It's just a small altar, so what if you find it? I thought you should have some insight with such a strong mind, but it turned out to be a bottom of a well. Frog, don't you know the ancient demon? It is an innate spirit bred in the ancient domain. Even if your combat power reaches the peak of the gods, you will not be an opponent. Let me tell you one more thing. If you want to break the void, don't think about it. Now the space on the ground is stronger than the original 9 days. Even if you become the pinnacle of the gods, you will not be able to break through the space and leave. Frog at the bottom of the well." Jian Wushuang laughed at himself. He could see that the soul power and realm of the two people in front of him were suppressed. It must be a strong person from the upper realm. I originally thought that the upper realm is so huge, and it can be regarded as a low-level chaotic world. Now it seems that either the world is too weak, or the monks are too stupid and have no knowledge at all. The so-called ancient demons are congenital gods and demons, which is the unified name of the outside world. Also, The altar here is far from simple. If it is only the power of the sealed peak of the gods, how could he not find it? The most important thing is that the formation here is special, allowing ghosts to devour each other and grow. This special formation has nurtured so many ghost cultivators, but it is not from today. It has been at least 10 days since Yang Xiao discovered that this place was strange. Judging from the speed of Jian Wushuang's calculation, the ghosts who appeared on tonight were all just promoted. That is to say, those ghost cultivators who had advanced to the previous stage were all taken away. And the purpose of bred so many ghost repairs is to revive the imperial concubine. So what's up with the power of the altar? The two don't seem to have much to do with each other. But if you want to go deeper, you can figure out that the imperial concubine is just a chess piece, and the resurrection is also the achievement of the Tang Emperor. Then the power of the altar, 80% has now fallen into the hands of Emperor Tang. This is also the reason why the other party has never appeared. In addition to these, Jian Wushuang also felt a special breath from those ghosts, which was very similar to gods and demons. Chapter 63:36. It means that not only the power of the gods is sealed in the altar, but also the power of gods and demons may be sealed. Once this power is obtained, let alone Jian Wushuang alone, even with Xiang Yang and Jiang Shang, it cannot be exhausted. Even those monks in the city who have improved a lot because of the power of killing ghost cultivators, and then gain the power of gods and demons, can reach the level of the broken void. Even if the space is now stronger than before, it can be broken with the power of gods and demons. It was just these words that he was too lazy to explain to the other party. Whether or not you can understand it is up to you. It doesn't matter if he leaves or stays, but if he dares to make trouble, he will never be soft-hearted. Zhenxian and Fu Qing snorted coldly and had no plans to leave. Although they were not very clear, they also chose to find the altar. At this moment, in the south of the city, after a 2-story attic was overturned, there was a sense of death. At the same time, the same thing happened from the southwest. Jian Wushuang's thought power instantly gathered. With 2 directions, the strangeness was quickly seen. There is still a hidden formation. Jian Wushuang frowned and immediately said, Xiang Yang, take Jiang Shang to the city wall. The two are only Jindan cultivators. If they encounter danger, they may die instantly, and there are no shortage of 2 Jindan cultivators in the city. It's safer to let them go to the city walls. Xiang Yang and Jiang Shang did not hesitate and flew directly towards the city wall. At this moment, there are constantly dying sellers in the city. The dead aura quickly filled the entire county town. Death formation, ghost repair, altar. The 3 joined together, and Jian Wushuang spied on the purpose of the person behind him. This is not to revive the imperial concubine, it is more like resurrecting the soul from a corpse. As for the princess, it was just one of the appetizers. 108 sellers are the foundation of the Great Formation. The people who set up this Great Formation are not ordinary. Jian Wushuang commented indifferently. He is not afraid of the other party's use of means, but he is afraid that the other party will not be able to hide all the time. Now that the big formation has appeared, it is not far from the appearance. Showing off now is giving him a chance. For Jian Wushuang, the formation method is not complicated. The formation eyes are not a set of 0 or 8 sellers, but those dead auras. This is the point of driving the big array. As long as he suppresses the death energy, he can stop the big formation, and the other party will definitely jump out to trouble him. Jian Wushuang was not prepared to do so. He wanted to see what the other party was going to do. Who are you going to borrow the corpse for when you set up this great formation? So he wasn't in a hurry. But the rest of the monks panicked and began to suppress the dead aura of those sellers. In groups of 3 or 5, they formed a simple battle formation to suppress the seller. It is a pity that there are not enough manpower, and only a dozen sellers can be suppressed. This will only slow down the speed of the large formation, but it cannot stop it. The true immortal and Fu Qing also did not take action to suppress the formation and remained silent. I want to wait. Jian Wushuang returned to the city wall. Watching the scene in the city, his mind power was always staring at the monks in the city. Brother Wushuang, This big formation is a bit strange, especially the dead energy. Why do I think it's similar to when we entered here? Xiangyang looked at the dead energy gushing out with a puzzled look. Those dead auras were indeed the same as the ones that erupted when they entered, but the dead energy at that time was countless times stronger than the one here. The most important thing is that there is a special aura in the original death aura. There is still some difference with the death atmosphere here. It's a bit similar, but it doesn't matter much. He explained to Xiangyang. Do you remember the monsters we encountered before we entered this place? If I guessed correctly, those monsters were killed by people during their lifetime. Yes, and the pit killed a lot, so that's why so much death energy is condensed. Killed by someone? But there are 6-star universe gods among those monsters. Xiangyang exclaimed, forgetting the sound transmission. Yang Xiao and others were stunned when they heard the universe god. The 1,000-foot saintess also did not follow the wild tribes of Miaorenfeng, because she felt that following Jian Wushuang might be able to inquire about a lot of things. As a result, I am now at a loss. God of the universe? What kind of level is that? These people may have never heard of the existence of the cosmos in their entire lives, so how can they understand the power of the cosmos god? Jian Wushuang ignored everyone's doubts and said indifferently, the ghosts here can devour and evolve, and those monsters must be the same. It turns out that, but even so, I am afraid that the existence of those monsters who killed those monsters must be the of the universe, otherwise they would not be able to control those monsters. Xiangyang was still a little worried. Although not much power has been restored yet, it is still for the sake of the future. If this world had an incomparably powerful cosmic god, he would have no confidence at all. Because when he was at his peak, he was only the master of the universe in the 9 tribulations realm. The power of the demigods has reached the sky. As for cosmic gods with more than 6 stars, that is something that one can't even think about. There's no need to think so much. If there are many powerful universe gods in this world, it won't affect you much if you can't get out. Indeed, Xiangyang is just the master of the universe in the 9 tribulations realm. If this world has a super existence among the universe gods, then his cultivation in this world is no different from the outside world. Besides, the Xiang family is already doomed, and if he goes out, he will probably be hunted down by his enemies. If there is a better chance at this time, you can choose to cultivate in this world. Just like Xing Luo, he is clearly in a bigger world, but he has to return to this world. I am afraid that it is because of some inheritance reasons that he may not be able to improve in the outside world. It is better to return to this world and continue to improve his strength. Xiangyang is just obsessed with each other. Why not stay and be a son-in-law 100 times better than going out? Of course he didn't say it. After chatting with Xiangyang for a while, he continued to observe Mongshan County. Unlike Xiangyang, his deity is extremely powerful, and he is already the pinnacle of the 9-star universe gods. Once he recovered, let alone this world, even the world god continent would not be able to trap him. The most important thing is to enter this world. It is likely to be someone's arrangement. Prophet. This Almighty One can erase the memories of some people, but he cannot erase his memories. The other party has helped him several times, and this time he entered this place and there are some things related to the other party. For example, the strong man who destroyed the Eastern cultivation realm is also known as a prophet. The key point is that he also dreamed of a prophet. In addition, he has now obtained the 9 prison tower, and he is even more certain that it is no coincidence that he entered this world. The prophet must be planning something. Now the red-eye world is only the first level. What he has to do is how to get the beauty of the deity from it. At least the 9 prisons tower is not simple, not like an ordinary treasure. Chapter 63-37. Update the latest chapter of Wandao's Sword Sovereign as soon as possible. Getting this treasure was probably also the prophet's plan behind it. And now all the monks in the red-eye world are gathered here, and ancient legends have emerged one by one, obviously with a pair of hands behind them. I just don't know that I'm not the protagonist yet. Just as his mind was full of thoughts, a sudden change occurred in the city. The dead energy in the sky began to condense and form, and a powerful force erupted. That's it, Jian Wushuang looked up at the clouds in the city and immediately noticed that there was a very powerful soul force inside. Swish! Countless souls suddenly burst out of the cellar and rushed towards the clouds in the sky with the death energy. And those spirit bodies are different from the ghost cultivators in the previous city because these spirit bodies are more complete. He is no longer at the level of Ghost Handsome, and there is still a king character on his chest. Is this the Ghost King? 108 Ghost Kings emerged from the 108 cellars, each of which was the spirit body of a general. Coupled with the power of the soul body that had erupted in the clouds, after the fusion, an unprecedented power of soul suddenly erupted. Seeing this scene, Jian Wushuang, Zhenxian and Fu Qing all knew that they couldn't ignore it like this. This great formation could very well breed a peerless existence, even comparable to that ancient demon. In an instant, I couldn't control so much, and they all tried to stop those fusion soul bodies. The real immortal started with the of Kunlun, the majestic mountain fell from the sky, and the elusive immortal energy was just radiated and then disappeared, but this majestic mountain alone has reached the peak of the gods. Shake Kunlun! The real immortal shouted angrily, clenched her hands, and the majestic mountain slammed into the clouds. There are countless secret methods around, from each of the infant transformation cultivators and individual cultivators of the divine phase realm. But these means are not enough to shake the clouds of death. Even the towering mountain smashed on it, but it failed to stir up any waves. This time everyone was in a hurry. The soul body in the cloud layer is getting stronger and stronger. A pair of blood-red eyes gradually condensed in the clouds. Junior sister, don't keep it, shoot directly, suppress this soul body first, don't let this soul body condense. I have a hunch that once this soul body is formed, it may break free from the heavens. Zhenxian is very anxious at this moment. He is very familiar with the coercion that transcends the heavenly way, because he has followed the master for a long time, and he has long been familiar with this kind of breath. After Fu Qing heard his brother's words, he no longer hesitated, and drew out the sword behind him, his brows rising with war. Broken Heaven Sword Art. She snorted softly, and the divine sword burst out with the power of shattering the void, and in an instant, 10,000 sword lights burst out. When the sword lights flew out, they quickly condensed into a substantial giant sword, full of laughter, and stabbed the clouds fiercely. The previous wave of attacks was not as powerful as this sword. Even Jian Wushuang, who was standing on the city wall, was a little surprised that the woman's swordsmanship had the fierce aura of her back then, and she was a good swordsman. It's a pity that it is still a bit unqualified to deal with the clouds of death. Although it can penetrate the clouds, the moment of entering, the will to fight is instantly consumed by the power of mind. The heaven-shattering sword without the will to fight is like a sword without a sharp edge. Lost sword intent. It suddenly shattered and withered, but the death cloud also felt a threat, and the speed of absorbing the Ghost King was even faster. Soon the clouds turned into human figures. This is a soul body that is thousands of feet in size, and there is an extra soul-calling flag in his hand. "I'm the Ghost Emperor," the spirit body said, and waved the spirit banner in his hand. The moment he waved the spirit banner, thousands of ghosts howled, and an attack that stabbed the soul, and the cultivators in the infant transformation stage were instantly lost. The combat power, the whole person stood there dumbfounded, unable to move. Only the cultivator of the realm of the gods barely blocked this blow. Jian Wushuang easily blocked this vulgar soul attack with his psychic power, and his psychic power shield even included several cultivators of the golden core stage. Looking at the scene in front of him, Jian Wushuang was confident. When he felt something was wrong before, he felt that the death cloud would condense a terrifying existence, but he did not expect that the condensed Ghost Emperor could actually perform a soul attack. But it is normal. After all, the opponent is a soul body, and the means of attack can only be soul attack, which is also considered the opponent's strength. The strong soul attack directly swept a large area of monks. If it wasn't for the previous killing of ghost cultivators to increase a wave of soul power, I am afraid that even the cultivators in the infant transformation stage would have been killed collectively. Even so, all the cultivators under Huaying lost their souls. Even the golden core is no exception. Such a wide range of means is similar to the previous Jian Wushuang's psychic burning, but there is one point where the opponent can't compare with Jian Wushuang, because Jian Wushuang can even kill the ghost handsome in the infancy stage. This is because Jian Wushuang's soul secret technique is much higher than the opponent's, and the sky-defying secret technique of burning the soul is simply not something that can be compared in this world. It's interesting, the Ghost Emperor's soul attack probably comes from his own characteristics, that is, the secret technique of talent. Jian Wushuang's heart moved, and he saw that the consciousness of the Ghost Emperor should have just formed. The consciousness that has just formed can be able to perform a soul attack, and that must be the secret technique of innate talent. This Ghost Emperor is also considered a congenital soul. It was so powerful just after birth. Isn't the person who arranged all this afraid that this Ghost Emperor would be out of control? Jian Wushuang had just raised this thought, and he felt a familiar aura within the range covered by his mind power. His figure disappeared on the city wall in an instant, and at the same time, he sent a voice transmission to Xiangyang, telling them to leave the city quickly and go to find way outside the city. 9 idle. At least it is much safer than Mongshan County. And he just discovered the cultivators who killed them. After the souls were killed, they still left their complete bodies, but when the familiar aura appeared, those bodies instantly turned into blood. The blood flowed down the ground to the ground. Got you! Jian Wushuang was extremely fast, with a smile on the corner of his mouth. In a dilapidated house in Nanqing, he plunged into the well in the courtyard. That aura emanated from here. I am afraid that even the 2 peak powerhouses of the gods in the sky did not find it, because the breath was covered by the Ghost Emperor, and it is difficult for ordinary people to find it, but Jian Wushuang did not hesitate to burn his mind power to cover a corner of the city and did not dare to fall. Just wait for this moment. The other party really leaked out after the appearance of the Ghost Emperor. After entering the well, looking for the breath, he began to sink continuously. He can find the other party, but the other party can't find his existence. Mind power burns. Jian Wushuang burned his mind power again, completely isolating his own breath. Chapter 63-38. Update the latest chapter of Wandao Sword Sovereign as soon as possible. At this moment in this world, almost no one can find his existence. Kindness. Jian Wushuang, who kept sinking, found that the more he sank, the bigger the space below. After sinking hundreds of feet, the water temperature is also rising. He carefully probed the direction of the breath with his mind power, and after identifying the specific direction, he began to touch it quietly. The closer he got to that breath, the faster his heart beat. Uneasy? Since he entered this world, his body has disappeared, and his soul has been annihilated to the mortal level, but only his state of mind cannot be annihilated. But at this moment, there is something in that direction that can make his mood unstable. This exceeded his expectations. It can affect my state of mind. What is hidden? Could it be the existence of a beyond the universe? This might have flashed through his mind very quickly. It was simply impossible. Immediately, he thought that the current physical body came from space crystals. It is very likely that the thing restrained space, so his heartbeat was so fast, which caused his mood to be unstable. He stopped thinking about it now, calmed down his heartbeat, and moved towards that position quickly. The reason why he was so careful before was not because he was afraid that the opponent's strength far surpassed himself, but because he was worried that the opponent would have a counterproductive effect when he discovered him. It would be troublesome if he ruined his good deeds. After continuing to swim for a stick of incense, a cave dwelling appeared in the depths of the dark water. The entrance of the cave is very small and can only accommodate 2 people side by side. This time Jian Wushuang was extra careful and directly disassembled his body, just like he came out of the 9 prisons tower before, turned into a stream of water and entered the cave, and it has been sticking to the cave wall. In this way, it is difficult for the other party to detect his existence even with the naked eye. When he entered the cave, he discovered that the interior was similar to a well, and the further he went inside, the bigger the space. Soon, Jian Wushuang's eyes were full of excitement. He even felt the other party's breathing, but he had not seen the other party's figure. However, it was quickly identified that there were 3 auras in the cave. Or 3.5. There are people who only have half-life and only a wisp of breath left. Among these 3 people, there is one he is very familiar with, and he also chased here based on this breath. 9 dust. After Jian Wushuang came to the depths of the cave, he also saw the appearance of the other party. It was the same as the breath he felt, which was the immortal 9 dust, the original owner of the 9 prisons tower. I thought that the other party might have fallen, but I didn't expect to be alive, and arranged such a big battle. Not only did he kill all Jindan monks from the 3 major forces, but he also created the existence of a ghost emperor. There is also a large array of advanced souls. This changed his view of immortal Jochin. Originally, he thought that the other party was sitting in a well and watching the sky, but now it seems that he really has some skills. Otherwise, the mysterious treasure such as the 9 prisons pagoda will not be obtained. That is the treasure that can make Dian Shindu go crazy. And now he has not cracked the first layer. The world of the first layer alone can be comparable to the middle world. No ordinary treasure. Some heaven-defying cosmic treasures can breed the secret realm of the universe. Although the space on the first floor of the 9 prisons pagoda is very large, it is still far from the secret realm of the universe, but there are still 8 floors behind, so he can't make a conclusion. If the deity is there, he can completely forcibly crack it, and he can also understand the real power of the 9 prison tower. While leaning against the wall, he spied on the 3 people in the cave and the woman in white on the stone bed. The white-haired old man is immortal 9 dust. Although his body has changed at this time, his aura is the same as before. There is also a middle-aged man in a black robe, who should be the emperor of the Tang dynasty, Li Miao himself. His strength is only in the middle stage of Huang. However, immortal Jushin's strength startled him, and he has reached the peak of the gods, similar to the true immortal in the city. No wonder it was able to plan so deeply. The ghost emperor who is not worried about the outside world must have some kind of control method. In addition to these 2 exposed people, there is also a middle-aged woman with a stern face. He has never seen or heard of this person, but his strength is not ordinary, and he is already in the middle stage of the phase. Then he began to carefully probe the woman in white on the stone bed with his mind power. Don't ask, this is Princess Yin. There is a ray of soul in her body. This is not surprising. He had previously calculated that the other party has a secret method to preserve the power of mind, and now it seems that he has used the body of the imperial concubine to preserve it, and has been hanging this ray of soul breath. This body, when he probed the body with his mind, his expression changed slightly. Because in this fleshly body, there is still a powerful force of all things hidden, and the source is a force of life. He was all too familiar with this breath. At the beginning, he first mastered the Tao of all things, and finally he was promoted to the Tao of life, and he wanted to use this Tao to break through to become the master of the universe. But later found out that this thing didn't seem to suit me, and later, led by Kendo, opened up 9 swords. Even now, only the first 6 swords have been used, but one of them is named after life. It can be seen that his grasp of the power of life may only lose the of life. This power of life is not innate, it is definitely injected by a strong person who can refine the power of life, but the strongest in this world is not the realm of the gods. How can anyone condense the power of life? Jian Wushuang was puzzled. If it is said that those ancestral realms that transcend the heavenly way or Yenxian have descended, but the imperial concubine was killed, but in 3 years, I have not heard of superpowers appearing in these 3 years. Even the gods were considered to be extinct at the beginning. Right. Jian Wushuang's heart moved, thinking of the Wanlu totem behind Jiangshang. Her mother Jiangshang must have mastered the supernatural ability to condense the power of life. If so, it makes sense. The reason why the imperial concubine didn't die back then was because of Jiangshang. And that life force is very similar to the life force of Wanlu Shenmu. Dan Bao saved him a lot in those days, and used the life force of Mujidao. The power of life that Jian Wushuang masters itself comes from the equivalent of death, and it is pure power of life, but this power of life can only be controlled by the true of life in the starry sky. that is the of the starry sky beyond time and space. Want to get to that position? Unless he kills the opponent first and then inherits. But what he couldn't do even in extinction, he naturally couldn't do it either. Therefore, Miexing wants to devour the of life of the four starry sky. After condensing the pure life force, once the devotion is successful, he can become the of reincarnation, thus bypassing the true of life in the starry sky. The more knowledge you have, the more directions you can analyze. This is a terrible experience, but also a rare experience. Chapter 63-39. Update the latest chapter of Wandao Sword Sovereign as soon as possible. At least now Jian Wushuang can see clearly the secret behind this. Jiang Shang did appear in the Tang dynasty and rescued the imperial concubine. Just 3 years ago. It has been almost a year since he came to this world. After counting the time, the more he thought about it, the more he felt that it was because of his arrival that Jiang Shang disappeared. Maybe this is possible. But it's just speculation. Just when he was thinking about it, the 3 people in the cave quarreled. Jian Wushuang also raised his ears at this time. No. Absolutely not. Double negation. From Immortal 9 Dust and Emperor Li Miao of Tang Dynasty. The 2 were clearly wearing a pair of pants. The middle-aged woman raised her eyebrows, looked at Li Miao and shouted, "Is it possible you want to destroy the ancestors? Stop taking my ancestors to oppress me. Everything I do now is enough to make my ancestors tear me apart." Li Miao was not to be outdone. Counting down the things that he has done, let alone the ancestors, those relatives in Tian City can't wait to kill him now. Mainly because he didn't have that strength, he let him go. Otherwise, Wei Jiuxin would not let him go. But the ancestor of Baoguang Temple never made things difficult for him. This was originally what he was most afraid of, but with the immortal master, he was not afraid. Unexpectedly, the old ancestor didn't mean to embarrass him at all, and even asked the guardian to help him preserve the body of the imperial concubine. But now the spirit watcher actually wants to take away the life force in the imperial concubine's body, and use this power to resurrect the princess of the past. That is the witness of the brilliance of the Tang dynasty, and the entire Tang dynasty has changed because of her. It was also because of her that he brought in the first son-in-law of the Tang dynasty. Achieved the prosperous Tang dynasty. No wonder the person from Baoguang Temple is so kind. It turns out that he is thinking about this power of life. Little girl, I advise you to stop thinking about it. Seeing that you have been guarding this body for so many years, this old man can make the decision. Help you to ascend. Immortal Jiuchen seemed very polite at this time. It's not that he has a good heart, but that he is worried about what the Baoguang Temple will leave behind for the guardian of the spirit. Now that the big plan is about to be completed, he doesn't want to have an accident at this juncture. Because this place is extremely important. Once there is a change, everything will be lost. But the spirit watcher is as determined as he eats a scale to take away that life force. The 3 argued endlessly, and for a while there was a sense of tension. Li Miao, after you make this decision, you will definitely regret it. The guardian sneered and said no more. The full threats made Immortal Jiuchen and Li Miao very upset, but they did not dare to take action at such a critical moment. Can only grit his teeth. Promise her, but you have to revive the imperial concubine first. After you take away the essence in her body, you should still be able to leave some life force behind to revive a little mortal. It should be no problem. Immortal Jiuchen said at this time. The sound was given to Li Miao, but he still did not choose to confront him. When Li Miao heard it, she could only nod her head in agreement. After slowing down her tone, she said to the guardian, I won't give you all the power of life, but I can promise you that the princess will definitely be resurrected. This time, let's head office. Then the princess must be resurrected first. The guardian's tone was still firm. This time, Immortal Jiuchen couldn't help it anymore, and shouted angrily, Don't go too far, don't think that you can provoke the patience of this old man with some trump cards. After he finished speaking, he directly burst out the coercion of the peak of the phase, and wanted to make the other party bow his head. But it was found that the guardian of the spirit was not affected at all, but sneered, Old man, Don't think that I don't know your details, you are not human at all, so don't try those little tricks with me before the ancestors go, leave it to me my trump card, killing the two of you is more than wrong, but the ancestors have explained it, and it is not a last resort, let me do it, do you really think I am afraid of you? Not human. After hearing this sentence, Jian Wushuang was stunned. This immortal Master Jiuchen is not a human? This was unexpected for him. Thinking that the opponent was beheaded before, and now it appears again, and the strength is so strong, it is relieved. But what can it be if it's not human? Originally guessed that the other party was an ancient monk, but he just stayed in the world. Unexpectedly, the other party is not a human race. But it has a human soul. At this time, the debate has not stopped. You. Li Miao's face was blue, but he still suppressed the fire. Turning to look at Immortal Jiuchen, he said directly, Immortal Master, is there a way to compromise? Hey! Immortal Jiuchen sighed and frowned. Li Miao, in fact, ascension does not necessarily need to break the void. Can you understand what I mean? As soon as this sentence came out, it also meant that the Immortal Master might want to give up on him. The life force in the Imperial Concubine must be based on the Imperial Concubine. After resurrecting the Imperial Concubine, some can be taken out. But before resurrection, you can't move, even if you take out a little bit, the remaining life force will instantly dissolve. Now it is time to abandon the Imperial Concubine and his future. Jian Wushuang, who was eavesdropping, could see clearly what the other party meant. In the bottom of my heart, I couldn't help regretting. What a waste, that's the power of life. As long as you absorb the priceless treasure that can improve the gene of life, to even think about resurrecting the princess and then taking the essence from the other party's body, it's like throwing a watermelon and picking up sesame seeds. Jian Wushuang really wanted to jump out and explain the special power of life to the other party, but unfortunately he couldn't jump out at this time. Otherwise, give each other two big ears. Inside the cave, there was a brief calm. The watchman still held his head proudly, and his eyebrows suddenly became detached. Immortal Jiuchen lowered his head, appearing harmless to humans and animals. Li Miao, who was hit in the bottom of his heart, clenched his fists. He closed his eyes slightly, and recalled the acquaintance with the Emperor and the beautiful years. Tears dripped from the corners of his eyes. This is the last tenderness for her. Ro. He just said one word, took a deep breath, and then continued. The shackles on the Imperial Concubine's body have been opened, you can directly take that power now. A ray of light flashed across the Imperial Concubine, and the seal was opened. If it weren't for this seal, I'm afraid the Spirit Guardian would have taken away the power of life long ago. You still have some conscience. After the princess is resurrected, you can continue to be the emperor of the Tang dynasty. After the watchman finished speaking, the ring on his finger flashed, and a green sarcophagus appeared out of thin air. Lying inside is the princess of the early Tang dynasty. Although this was Li Miao's ancestor, he was not excited. Immortal Jiuchen, who was standing beside him, remained silent, but his gaze towards Li Miao had changed. The spirit watcher first tested the life force in the emperor's body, and then opened the sarcophagus and took it out. The lid of the coffin was opened, revealing a pair of peerless honors. This is an honor that makes people feel confused when they see it. Even Jian Wushuang couldn't help but marvel when he saw it. This peerless face could be ranked in the top 100 he had ever seen in his life. Chapter 6340. Update the latest chapter of Wandao Sword Sovereign as soon as possible. You must know that the people he has met have eaten more than these people. To be able to rank in the top 100 in his eyes, the entire Red Eye world should be honored for this. If the princess was resurrected, it would be right to burn some incense sticks and kowtow to him in the future, because he is the great cosmic god. But before he could wait, when his eyes were dodged from this face, a black light suddenly burst out. The black light was like a knife, and it inserted straight into the chest of the spirit watchman. The black mist leaking from above instantly corroded the soul and body of the spirit guardian, making it too late for the opponent to mobilize his mind power. The backhand is naturally unusable. Immortal Master Thu. Li Miao was also taken aback. There was no sign at all before, and he had accepted his fate. It was a big deal to give up the imperial concubine, and he did not want to affect the big plan. Even give up on breaking the void to soar. But immortal Jiochen unexpectedly killed the guardian at this time, but he didn't hint at all before. Don't be stunned, hurry up and put away your ancestors, we should get down to business. Immortal Jiochen took the black lightsaber and breathed a sigh of relief. This move he only 70% sure. If you miss it, you risk sabotaging the plan. But he was willing to take this risk, and willingly. Li Miao put away the sarcophagus and turned to look at immortal Master Jiochen with reddish eyes. Hey, don't say anything, the two of us are in a cooperative relationship, don't think too much, I just want you to be stronger, so as not to support me in the future. Immortal Jiochen waved his hand, seemingly indifferent. No matter how hard-hearted Li Miao was, he was silently following this great favor at this moment. The reason why he kept calling the other party Immortal Master was because the other party was no different from his master. It's just that he has never been a teacher, and the other party is also known as Jiochen Immortal, so he has been calling Immortal Master. The teacher-disciple relationship transcends everything at this moment. The two just looked at each other and started the plan to resurrect the princess. The first is to get Qin Yuan over. Li Miao immediately took out a token and issued an order. To get a mortal to come over, naturally, you don't need to go out in person. But he didn't know that Qin Yuan was no longer in the city at the moment, but in the castle outside the city. Jian Wushuang, who saw all this, had already made arrangements for catching Qin Yuan, and asked them to go to Wei Jiuxian, so naturally he would not worry. However, the relationship between Li Miao and Jiochen made him feel that it was not easy. The teacher-disciple relationship is very important. This kind of ease is not only very important in the right way, but also in the magic way. The same goes for the followers. There are even some masters who are willing to die so that their apprentices can walk out of the avenues they have never walked out of themselves. It's like father and son. If the father fails to do it, he wants the son to do it. If the son cannot do it, he will be disappointed, but he will not lose confidence. But if the son can meet his expectations, or even exceed his expectations, then even if he is willing to die. This is the inheritance of the Taoist. Too extreme. Jian Wushuang is neither like nor dislike. After observing for so long, he has never heard anything about the altar, and now the other party wants to resurrect the imperial concubine, which has little to do with him. But the power of life within the imperial concubine was very tempting to him. His current physical body was refined from the space boundary. It is omitted to temper the physical body, and once he recovers the karma of the space one, he will soon be able to elevate the physical body to a new level. However, there is a lot of difference in life force. If he obtains the life force at this time, he can use the enlightenment to let the fleshly body reverse the power of all things in advance, so as to master the way of all things. This will go a long way in getting him back to his prime. But now I haven't found the altar, and I haven't felt the power that was sealed. Once it shows up at this time, even if it takes away the power of life, it will startle the snake. And there are ghost emperors and gods and demons from the outside world. After he gets the power of life, it is difficult to improve his strength in a short period of time. The risk is not worth it. Fortunately, after resurrecting the imperial concubine, the power of life will not disappear. He still has the opportunity to take it away, but the resurrection of the imperial concubine needs Qin Yuan, and then there will be a choice. With a thought, he sent a voice transmission to Xiang Yang. The rest just need to be careful to lurk. As a bystander, look at this human tragedy. But those outsiders are miserable. Outside Mangshan County, Yang Xiao took Xiang Yang and others to the castle and met Wei Jiuxian. The 1,000-foot saintess also followed and found that all the strong men in her tribe were dead and collapsed on the spot. Fortunately, Wei Jiuxian is not a cautious person, otherwise she would not be able to live. The rest are fine. It's not your own who died anyway. When Yang Xiao saw Wei Jiuxian, he immediately knelt down on one knee and said respectfully, "Grand Commander, in the city." He told everything he had seen and heard. Wei Jiuxian just nodded and said, "You guys stay here now, there should be no safer place than here." Oh! Xiang Yang raised his brows, just about to refute, but when he felt the oppression from afar, his complexion suddenly changed. He was all too familiar with that power. It was the breath of gods and demons. What a powerful force! Before he could sigh with emotion, he received Jian Wushuang's voice transmission. The content is very simple: send Qin Yuan to Tian City. Even if someone comes to Qin Yuan, don't fight back. Xiang Yang was a little surprised by this. Wouldn't this allow Emperor Tang to resurrect the imperial concubine? Could it be that this is good for Jian Wushuang? He just lined up from the bottom of his heart and sat down as Jian Wushuang said. It's just that this time he directly told Qin Yuan the interests of the matter. Because there is no need to deceive a mortal. And Qin Yuan has always felt guilty. When he knew that he was the key to resurrecting the imperial concubine, he resolutely walked to Tian City. Wei Jiuxian was naturally aware of this and did not stop Qin Yuan. Instead, he looked around Xiang Yang curiously. Xiang Yang also looked at Wei Jiuxian at this time, and the two just looked at each other and didn't speak. At the same time, Qin Yuan ran towards Tian City. A group of black-clothed and masked demon cultivators also came towards him, running in both directions, saving a lot of trouble. But it was still noticed by Jinxian and Fu Qing. But they were all dragged by the Ghost Emperor at the moment. Don't be careless at all. There is no time to deal with those Xiao Xiao. Several great gods are in the realm, and they are concentrating on besieging the Ghost Emperor. Buying time for the magic cultivator of Chiangzong. After tying Qin Yuan Wu Hua, he threw it directly into the well that Jian Wushuang entered. A force pulled Qin Yuan and entered the underground cave. Seeing the other party, Li Miao didn't panic at all, waved his hand to loosen the bondage and said calmly, Qin Yuan, you should have thought that such a day would come. No! Qin Yuan shook his head and said, but a senior helped me solve my confusion, so I'm relieved. Chapter 6341. Update the latest chapter of Wandao Sword Sovereign as soon as possible. Oh, is that the monk from Jiang country? Immortal Jiuchen immediately became interested. Before Jian Wushuang killed so many ghost cultivators in one fell swoop, he had discovered it long ago, but it disappeared strangely later, because he was still manipulating the big formation at that time, and he didn't have any extra thoughts to pay attention to. Now that I heard the other party mention it, I realized that there is another troublesome guy who has not shown up. He was very jealous of Jian Wushuang. One was burning his mind power, and the other was that his 9-prison tower fell into the hands of that person. My life is only used to revive the imperial concubine, and I don't want to know the rest from me. At this moment, Qin Yuan showed his loyalty as a scholar. Immortal Jiuchen sneered, do you think you can hide it? With his strength, he can search for souls at will. Questioning is just a formality. If it weren't for the urgency of time, he would have to search for his soul. It's just that there is no need to waste time now, and the advancement of the plan is the top priority. Even if the cultivator from Jiang country is tricky, it doesn't matter if the plan is successful. Li Miao was curious about Jiang Shang. The appearance and breath of the other party are very similar to the woman who rescued Princess Yin back then. Okay, let's get started. Jiuchen urged, and he began to gather the spirit bodies in the formation, and began to carry out the secret recovery method for the imperial concubine. There is a ghost emperor outside, and there is also a ghost emperor here. It's just that this ghost emperor is different from the one from the outside world. Because the ghost emperor here is a short version of the ghost emperor, with a very weak breath, just suitable for mortals. Li Miao first injected the soul body into Yin Ren's body, and left the rest to me. Immortal Jiuchen handed over the soul body to Li Miao, while he walked towards Qin Yuan, and after leaking a strange smile, Tan Ran said, little guys, don't worry, what I need is your cause and effect, not your life. Li Miao also nodded at this time, saying that he would not take Qin Yuan's life. Because there is no need to kill the chicken to get the eggs, it is enough to get some cause and effect. He is a follower, not a murderer, and will not kill himself. Qin Yuan seemed very calm. Even if he took his life, he didn't care. The world is so amazing. When you are dying, your opponent will leave you with the last tenderness. Instead of killing you, they will take away your last value and let you face a woman full of guilt. The biggest reason why Chen Yuan is not afraid of death is that he cannot face the imperial concubine, and the second is that he misses a Z. There are immortals and ghosts in this world. Maybe when he dies, he will be able to see Azzy. But now he can't die. Immortal Jiuchen shot out. Chen Yuan didn't make any movement, but his soul was beaten out of his body. Chen Yuan, who was under the soul body, felt that his body was very strange, and before he was familiar with it, Immortal Jiuchen took a claw to his eyebrows, and a strand of golden karma was taken out. This is the mundane version of causal killing. Li Miao, back off. Immortal Jiuchen grabbed the causal thread and pressed it into the princess' forehead. The causal line, the soul body, the power of life, and the remaining wisp of soul breath of the imperial concubine began to continuously merge. Several forces repel each other, but merge with each other in the hands of Immortal Nine Dust. Once the fusion is successful, the consciousness of the imperial concubine can be restored. This is the big head. The rest is the flesh. Li Miao was not idle at this time either. The cultivator's blood essence collected earlier was used for the imperial concubine's body. Not only did he want to resurrect the imperial concubine, but he also wanted the resurrected imperial concubine to reach the level of infant transformation, a realm with himself, so that he could break through the realm of the gods by collecting blood and essence. Lonely, Li Miao called softly. A pool of blood appeared in the cave, and finally condensed into a positive. Jian Wushuang's eyes narrowed when he saw this scene, and he exclaimed in his heart, "No wonder I can't detect it with my mind, so the altar is not in this space." He could see at a glance where the altar had been summoned. Should come from the space mezzanine. There is no such space on the altar, or there is no red-eye world. If he was asked to look for it, he would probably not be able to find it if he rummaged through the entire Mongshan County. But why would the 1,000-footed holy maiden know? This is a doubt. As for why the major forces came one after another, it should be the news that Li Miao and Immortal Jiuchen deliberately released. Then the 1,000-footed holy maiden is probably also a chess piece used by Li Miao and Immortal Jiuchen. Thinking of this, Jian Wushuang's back froze, and his body instantly gathered back to his human form. Because he was exposed. Even the space mezzanine can be found, and the altar can be placed in it. There must be someone among the 9 dust immortals or Li Miao who has a thorough understanding of the space together, so if he hides here, even if the thought power is covered tightly, he will be discovered. So show up immediately. Because the altar also appeared, and his purpose was achieved. He wants both the power of life and the power of the seal in the altar. The sudden appearance did not surprise Li Miao and Immortal Jiuchen, but everything was calculated. As soon as he appeared, a light erupted from the altar, shining directly on Jian Wushuang. He, it's you who's waiting. Immortal Jiuchen clenched his hands and shouted angrily, "Blood light, suck?" A powerful attraction dragged Jian Wushuang towards the altar. Chen Yuan, who saw this scene, was also very surprised. He didn't expect Jian Wushuang to be here, and looking at the situation, Jian Wushuang must have been calculated. Mind power burns. Jian Wushuang was not to be outdone. He came prepared. How could he be taken down like this? The burning divine power instantly covered the whole body, desperately resisting the blood swallowing. He didn't want to enter the altar to become nourishment. Immortal Jiuchen grinned at this moment. Jian Wushuang, do you think your mind power can isolate everything? You underestimate me, Jiuchen. You can't bear it. Also, the reason why I am called Jiuchen is because I have experienced 9 worlds and know more than you think. Don't think that if you win me once, you can do whatever you want. This time you will lose nothing. Your mighty soul will become the nourishment in the altar. Li Miao didn't know much about Jian Wushuang, but just looked at Jian Wushuang indifferently. The powerful swallowing power made Jian Wushuang unable to parry. Even if he burned his mind power to the limit, he still could not resist. His body and soul have been separated. This time it's over. When the soul body enters the altar, his soul will be annihilated. He wasn't worried about death. Trapped in this world, he thought about whether to return to the world god continent or return to the reincarnation of this world after his soul died out. If he returns to the world god continent, then he returns directly to his deity. This is naturally the best. If he returns to the reincarnation of this world, then he will be reincarnated. Only when you reincarnate into that world, you won't know. But doing so would waste his time. Also, he was unwilling to be so mortal. Chapter 6342. Update the latest chapter of Wandao's Sword Sovereign as soon as possible. The biggest threat is that he is worried that after his soul is annihilated he will neither return to the world god continent nor return to the reincarnation of this world. When the deity falls into a deep sleep, he is the real doom. Even if this possibility is very small, he does not dare to gamble. Now that he can't bear the swallowing of blood, once he enters the altar, I am afraid that he will have no choice. So he had to choose to explode his soul before entering the altar. Don't forget, his soul body in the 9 prison tower can be regarded as the deity of this world. It's just that the 9 prison pagoda was originally the treasure of the 9 dust immortals. He was worried that the other party would do something in it, so he wanted to break the current soul, so as not to let the other party seize the handle. But just before his self-destruction, the blood flashed, and a guiding force sent him into the altar. I succeeded. This guy's soul power is much stronger than that of the finished Ghost Emperor. With him as nourishment, I don't need that Ghost Emperor. I just killed the real immortal and Fu Qing, and then it's time for the Ghost Emperor to refine a flesh body that surpasses the realm of the gods, and at that time, he also has the ability to take revenge. Immortal Jiuchen was very happy and said many things in a row. Li Miao was also very happy. He was happy for Immortal Jiuchen. But it didn't take long for them to be happy before they discovered that the imperial concubine's body had changed. No, the power of life is passing away, and it needs to be revived immediately. Immortal Jiuchen exclaimed. He didn't know that before Jian Wushuang entered the altar, the power of thought hooked the life force in the imperial concubine's body and entered his soul. Where would Jiuchen find this kind of method? Now that I saw the life of the emperor passing by, I thought it was just delayed, and hurriedly used the secret recovery technique to start the final recovery. Fortunately, the fusion has almost been completed before, otherwise, once the power of life has passed, it cannot be reversed, and the fusion will not be able to fuse at that time. Now at least half-life can be saved first, and the remaining half-life can be promoted by using the power of the blood-colored altar seal, which can also be promoted to the same level as Li Miao. This time be safe. Immortal Jiuchen wiped the sweat from his forehead, leaking a gratified smile, and said, I will use the power of the altar to help restore the last half-life of the imperial concubine, and at the same time, I will improve her realm to the infant transformation stage. As for the latter, it's up to you. Relax, immortal master. Li Miao also laughed, because this time the plan, despite the twists and turns, did not delay any entry into the city. After seeing Qin Yuan's soul and Jian Wushuang's body, Immortal Jiuchen felt a little annoying and directly ordered someone to take them out and seal them under the well. When everything is successful, Qin Yuan can live. But when he stepped forward to search Jian Wushuang's body, his brows furrowed. Why not? Immortal Jiuchen was stunned. Li Miao asked concerned, What's wrong? The Tower of 9 Prisons is not on him. Immortal Master Jiuchen was instantly furious. That is a treasure. I thought that Jian Wushuang should be in the flesh, but I didn't expect to find a circle and not in Jian Wushuang. He immediately turned his head to look at Qin Yuan's soul, and without waiting for Qin Yuan to speak, he started a soul search. After investigating everything about Qin Yuan following Jian Wushuang and others, he became even more puzzled. How could it be? The 9 Prisons pagoda was clearly put away by him. How could he not find it? This involves his blind spot. The 9 Prisons pagoda is a treasure, the initial control, you can control the size at will. If you hold back completely, you can merge with yourself. But this is a treasure. The detached ancestral realm cannot recognize the master, only the real immortal can recognize the master. But even if he recognizes the Lord, he is still one with the flesh. He shouldn't have found it. In his view, there is only one possibility left. He must have given the 9 Prison Tower to someone. Immortal Jiuchen gritted his teeth and said, Forget it, Let's look for it after we succeed. Anyway, no one can really refine the 9 prisons, so he can't escape from his palm. He waved his hand to the cultivator of Qiang's sect, took Jian Wushuang's body and Qin Yuan's soul away, and then walked outside the cave and sat cross-legged in front of the cave's entrance to protect the place himself. Inside Mongshan County, the Ghost Emperor is getting stronger and stronger, constantly exerting his own innate secrets, and his combat power has surpassed the peak of the gods. Zhen Xian and Fu Qing could only barely resist. The rest of the gods are only remote assistants. As for those baby-turning cultivators, there were no bones left that had been swallowed up long ago. Senior brother, the power of this Ghost Emperor is getting stronger and stronger, and it will be very unfavorable for us to drag on like this. Fu Qing was a little anxious. The same is true for the true immortals, but now that all the cards are out, there is no way to do it. Damn, forget about an ancient demon, and let the little emperor create such a monster. Anxious to be anxious, but not without any solution. Isn't there an ancient demon outside? The ancient demon who smashed the 9 days and trampled the blood of the human race recklessly to replenish the consumption that has been sealed over the years. The combat power has surpassed the peak of the God Phase realm by 1,000 times. Dealing with this Ghost Emperor who has not fully grown up is more than a mistake. After paying attention, the true immortal statured and retreated, looking at the formation barrier on the city wall. A smirk leaked from the corner of his mouth. The loud noise that erupted from Mongshan County instantly alerted everyone in the castle. Wei Jiuxian also frowned and stood up, looking straight at the discovery of the busy county town, and then looking back at the sky behind. A towering and demon has descended. The war is about to start. Ancient demon versus Ghost Emperor. Both sides have combat power that surpasses the peak of the gods. This will be an ancient battle. To reproduce the glory of ancient times, this is the battle. At this moment, the sky is beautiful, and the oriental fish maw white has just been revealed, but it is covered by the dark clouds, and the torrential rain after the drizzle is coming. But all of this seems to have nothing to do with Jian Wushuang. The flesh is sealed at the bottom of the well. It was just a husk, completely useless. What matters is the soul. In order to ensure that nothing goes wrong, he entered the altar with his soul wrapped in the 9 prisons tower. Incidentally, he stole the life force of the imperial concubine and made double insurance. But even so, he suffered a lot in the altar. When he just entered, the power of devouring seemed to be able to absorb all the power of his soul. Fortunately, the power of his soul has almost unlimited replenishment of the deity in the Tower of 9 Prisons. After all, it is simply too easy for a soul at the Yenxian level to supplement the avatar of the peak of the gods. If it wasn't for the suppression of heaven, he could completely raise the soul's power to surpass the realm of the gods. But even the soul of the peak of the gods can still be self-sufficient when it is infinitely absorbed by the altar. His soul at this moment turned into a stream of water, which continued to penetrate into the interior of the altar. The interior seems to be a new world, but everything is surrounded by red mist, and these mists flow rapidly with the power of swallowing. Chapter 6343. Update the latest chapter of Wandao Sword Sovereign as soon as possible. Chapter 6343. Blood crystal past Jian Wushuang's soul is mixed with it. It took a whole day to pass through the blood fog area. Within a day, the power of the soul consumes a huge amount. It is comparable to the soul body of 10 gods at the peak of the realm. At the peak of the ordinary phase, I am afraid that the spirit and soul have already been destroyed. How Jian Wushuang continued to replenish and maintain its peak, and added the block of burning psychic power, which led to maintaining a clear consciousness all the time. You can also observe the inside of the bloody altar all the time. Through the blood fog area, 10 times the soul power of the peak of the gods was consumed. Further back, a blood crystal pass. I originally thought that the power of devouring inside would be stronger, but when I entered, I found that there was no suction at all in the pass, but it still contained the magical effect of the soul. It's only good for not much use, just curious that the altar has sealed the blood of the gods and demons? The person who returned to the peak of the phase may be sealed and refined by the altar. But for more than 1,000 years, the son-in-law of Tang who sealed the 1,000-foot ancestors. He is also the founder of Baoguang Temple. If it is sealed and refined, then everything makes sense. Under the circumstances, I'm afraid which ancestor used the altar to refine the peak powerhouse of the gods, and sealed the other party's lie. But now the altar has the hand of Jiochen Immortal. Entering the altar, the other party once said that he had experienced the 9 worlds. But the opponent's realm and strength are very special. Only the pinnacle of the phase of the ordinary level. What was hidden back then? Jian Wushuang felt that there were many secrets hidden in Feng world. If those secrets are not related to much, there is no need to sigh. Such a world can make the layout so long and make such a complex network of relationships. Perhaps that Tang Patriarch's relationship with Jiochen is the same as his current relationship with Li Miao. And knowing that the ancestor of Tang has fallen, so I wonder why Jiochen chose Li Miao. It just has nothing to do with it. Now to find out the role of the altar. Judging from the previous blood mist, it can be an altar, more like a type of hole. Generally, the cave will be used by monks to tame monsters or cultivate herbs. After all, the world you carry with you is hard to come by, and making it an altar is somewhat of a loss. Plant something like an altar and make it completely disposable. Also experience, but don't use it at first. Therefore, it is determined that the use of this place is as simple as the altar, and the specific function needs to be explored in depth. Jian Wushuang burned his mind power and explored the depths of Tong. Nothing strange happened along the way, even touching the stone wall formed by the blood-colored spar. It turned out to be infused with the blood of the gods and demons. Good handwriting. Somewhat surprised, after all, the blood of the gods and demons is 100 times stronger than the blood of ordinary gods and demons. And it seems that the blood essence used is also from the spirit of gods and demons. In this way, light entering this place can nourish the soul. The blood mist outside is more like the transformation of the power radiating here, entering the inside to nourish the soul, and eating the soul outside. A bit of a nice arrangement. Let Jian Wushuang hold back and nod his head. The book returned to the topic, and the even more surprised head gods and demons reached that level. Compared with the so-called ancient demon from the outside world, the master of blood essence here is a demon with at least 5,000 times the life gene. The specific strength can be calculated to the level of detachment and even immortality. If that's the case, then the master of refining the altar is the least powerful. And looking at the appearance of the altar, it is considered a treasure, more like an auxiliary treasure. In terms of value, it is definitely better than the treasure. It is normal to think that 9 dust immortals are connected to the Supreme Treasure City and the treasures that they are assisting. From this point of view, the opponent's peak period may be weak. Even if some treasures are picked up, it has to be a part of that strength refining. 9 dust. Jian Wushuang stroked the blood crystal and said to himself, the level of life is very ordinary, and the level of soul is also very ordinary. It's basically like which sword immortal a true immortal is. Let alone with Yanxian. Even in such a mundane world, the power can be many times higher than that of ordinary gods. Why is Jiochen so weak? Most doubtful. With doubts, the faster the pace. Mind power always covers a distance of 10 miles. So worry about danger. It didn't take long for the past to come to an end. At the end, he also felt a weak consciousness at the end. That consciousness is very strange, without the characteristics of life, nor the spirit of death carried by the soul. But the whole body has an aura. Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up, and the speed became faster. The breath is also very familiar, and it reminds me of the true spirit of Qi Temple. The two smell alike. Only the comparison of strength and weakness is a difference of billions of times. No matter how strong or weak, at least it is a spiritual body of consciousness. The use of Jian Wushuang is enough. Maybe you can figure out the situation here. Looking for that breath and burning divine power, he approached while testing. At the end of the pass, there is a temple that exudes blood-colored power. Arrive! Jian Wushuang walked through and stood at the gate of the temple. At a glance, the temple is close to the eyes. When you close your eyes, the temple is deep in the nebula. All around blood-colored light spots. Mean. The corners of his mouth are slightly raised, and there is really no way to do this. But that spirit body is only in the eye, and can only use the opponent to open the knife. With a movement of the mind force, a pointing, a ray of green power shuttles. That obtains the power of life from the body of the princess. The life force needed, and the various things it contains. Through it, he understood the several traces contained in it, and then transmitted it to the deity in the 9 Prisons Tower, so he mastered the prototype of all things. In the same way, the soul deity in the 9 Prisons Pagoda can absorb the inner power of the 9 Prisons Pagoda to reshape a body of all things. Only absorb enough power of all things, then the physical body will be stronger. Once the level of the physical body reaches the 10,000 times level, it will be the level of immortality, and then the soul deity will enter the physical body of all things, and will be able to pass from the 9 Prisons Tower. This saves a lot of time, and directly returns to the level of the real immortal. Also Yenxian. Then the road behind will be easier. Chapter 6344. Update the latest chapter of Wandao Sword Sovereign as soon as possible. Just follow the path you take. First take the universe of all things as the foundation, step into Yenxian, master the ultimate sword, become the ultimate king, and then join. Jian Wushuang, who has countless experiences, has used hundreds of years to reach the peak of the emperor. At that time, I almost also cultivated the power of life from all things, and then promoted it to evolve the universe of life, and to open up the universe with the sword as the master to become the master of the universe. Transcending tribulation is as simple as drinking water. Breaking through all the way has become a problem in the 9 tribulations realm. For a moment, it seemed that everything became easier. Jian Wushuang shook his head sullenly, his eyes shining brightly. Only sent a ray of life force to that spiritual consciousness, but directly associated with his own future. And so easy. What? Saying that the meeting will go smoothly, you will reach the level of the master of the universe, and it will not be so simple to transcend the calamity later. The ordinary robbery of the universe. Of course it will be so strong. Returning the power of the soul, it was only after devouring the world beast Morosa that it became so rebellious. Moreover, the outside world also increased the beast soldiers, and the sword of myriad tribulations contained itself, and it took countless years to be able to use the 6th sword. The deity of the outside world has reached the pinnacle of the 9-star universe god. With lots of luck. If the light changes from ancient times to one level, countless people can get stuck. Eternal change, that is created according to the eternal change. The world may not be able to grasp the changes at all. Moreover, entering the square world may be for the sake of transcending the divine tribulation of the universe. How can we go the old way? In this world, I also know that there is no suitable one for me. The sword is respected. The foundation, a sword makes oneself weak. Wherever one walks with a sword, a cultivator uses a sword to eliminate his grievances. To the back, transcendence, become immortal, unite, and open up the universe. You can't do it with a sword alone. Still need a lot of support. Will the world do? Jian Wushuang's eyes were firm in an instant, and his mood returned to peace. The path you take is unique, and it has nothing to do with the world you live in. Every cosmic has broken the existence of the supreme rules, and he should tie himself up because of the supreme rules. For a moment, everything seemed to be understood. I also understand the meaning of entering the world. Go your own way, it has nothing to do with the world you live in. Simply put, it's like an ordinary family. Take the definition of red eyes. The children of the family have no worries about food and clothing, and they are proficient in all kinds of making money when they are adults, while the children of poor families, when they become adults, can face dark eyes, feel the world's public, and feel that the world is the same. But the poor family is also precious. Qin Yuan was in a poor school. Although he was not able to take the exam, he was able to make the right choice at that time and rushed. Maybe if you change it. Is it for environmental reasons? Choose a reason. Jian Wushuang now has the right to choose the path he takes. Maybe he has reached the peak, but leaving this world is difficult. But what about after leaving the world? The deity who returns to the outside world is still Jian Wushuang, who is the peak of the 9-star cosmic gods' combat power. The purpose of the tombs of the gods? After leaving Huiqing, etc., came here, just to cross the gods? When he left Beikong and arrived at the realm Godland, he experienced many difficulties. Wuzhou has survived the calamity, how can he fall? And the goal is from the pinnacle of the realm of the gods. And step into the starry sky. Where is the destination? But the ultimate place. For a moment, the heart is like a sword. Not affected at all. I also understand that it is the temple that affects my thoughts just now. A shrine that can actually affect the mood, something interesting. He lightened that spiritual consciousness at will, and did not rush to enter the temple. The key is now also in looking at the eyes. In fact, it is still far away. After the force of life entered the consciousness of the spiritual body, it quickly stimulated the other party's spiritual power. Call. The illusory spirit body began to transform, and a familiar face appeared. 9 dust immortals. Jian Wushuang was frightened to hit one, and the other party was also taken aback. He stared at each other, looked at it for a while, and asked at the same time, "How did you meet? How long? Speak first." The tacit understanding between the two was simply perfect. But in a stalemate, Jian Wushuang was anxious, and the other party was anxious first. You can hear it from the tone of voice. The other party knows how many years he has been asleep. Now that he is half-lived and knows his identity, his heart is full of joy, and he most wants to know what is going on outside. This way, Jian Wushuang understands that although the guy looks the same as Zhou Chen, his identity can be the same. There are more calculations and guesses, all of which need to be solved by the other party. The outside world sees the same guy, not a spiritual body, but a real body. Jian Wushuang answered the other party's question without reservation. The spirit of the spirit body Zhou Chen instantly became excited, became a little crazy, and muttered to himself, "It turned out to be a success, it turned out to be a success." Although I know what the other party is referring to, I can guess. It's no wonder that Zhou Chen has a very high realm and is also very knowledgeable, and he is able to initially control the treasures of the 9-prison pagoda, Yuan. Totally literal. If you guessed correctly, Zhou Chen should be one with that spirit body. Or the spirit of the array, or the spirit of the magic weapon. This also explains why the other party is so strong, yet so ordinary. So I made up another lie. The deity sent in? Zhou Shen's spirit body was surprised. Is it difficult to re-establish the fire domain? This sentence made Jian Wushuang feel a little ashamed, because it was within the calculation range. The ancient domain is so easy to rebuild, and Zhou Chen Immortal has opened up a red-eye world. Then he said, I accepted the inheritance of Zhou Chen Immortal and entered this place, but I didn't expect it to be a clone of Zhou Chen Immortal. Hearing that he had become a clone, Zhou Shen's spiritual body was furious. You know the fart, I am the deity, that guy's split consciousness is nothing more than a ray of consciousness. I didn't expect to bet right and become an immortal. Eyes widened. Jian Wushuang didn't expect the other party to be so easy to cheat, and the so-called Zhou Chen Immortal was considered an honorable title. In this way, the other party can know that he belongs to the Zhou Chen side. Chapter 6345. Update the latest chapter of Wandao Sword Sovereign as soon as possible. Yes, Zhou Chen Immortal has transcended existence, and the current spirit power even dares to pretend to be the deity of Zhou Chen Immortal. Jian Wushuang pretended to be annoyed, and seemed very loyal to Zhou Chen Immortal. This made Zhou Shen's deity even more angry, covering his head with his hands and roaring, that deity, only a split consciousness, it can surpass. It's very weak now. Jian Wushuang frowned, deliberately provoking the opponent. The words were very stimulating to the deity of Zhou Chen, and the weak consciousness of the other party almost fell into a deep sleep. After the other party has the power of life, Jian Wushuang can also use the power of soul to help the other party cultivate spiritual consciousness, so as to keep the other party from falling asleep directly. Well, the sober Jiochen deity found out that Jian Wushuang's soul was so strong, and was surprised. By the way, let's talk about the blood mist from the outside first. Jian Wushuang raised his head and said in a daze, "Yes, this place accepts inheritance." As he spoke, he glanced at the temple in the distance. That temple definitely contains inheritance, and Jiochen should be the true spirit of the inheritance temple. Just being honest, I want to get rid of the temple and become a monk. You can hear it from what Jiochen deity just said, it's a fact. At this moment, when he heard that he had broken through the blood fog, his face was instantly happy, as if he had forgotten the sarcasm just now. I actually broke through the blood fog, and even if the clone did not rebuild the fire domain, it also created a great force. Jushin's deity was instantly excited. Jian Wushuang squinted at the other party, thinking what the spirit body should pay attention to. Hearing the blood mist, he was so excited. The blood fog outside doesn't seem to have much power, and it can barely pass if the power of the soul reaches about 10 times. The power of the soul has grown tenfold, which is difficult. At least it is very simple for a detached soul to improve soul power. But after detachment, it is difficult to improve. Especially after becoming an immortal, it is difficult to improve the soul, which is why there are few soul secrets, because it is rarely able to reach the standard of secret practice. So precious and mysterious. That is also after detachment, or after becoming an immortal. In the mundane period, if you can permanently increase the power of the soul, it is very simple to increase it tenfold. Jian Wushuang did not manage the mortal period, and according to fan standards, he did not feel that he was so special in breaking through the blood fog. Because the world where the deity of Jiochen was in the past, the ancient realm, is more than the realm of red eyes. The arrogance of 10 times the power of the soul is also something strange. As for the surprise of the other party, just when he was in doubt, the deity of Jiochen said excitedly, "Son, being able to pass through the blood fog world means that the mental power has exceeded 10 times, and to go through the road means that the mental power can withstand 100 times. I haven't been arrogant for 10,000 years, but I actually met him today. Where can I go to the clone of luck? The decision I made at the beginning was right, 100 times the power of the soul?" Jian Wushuang was stunned, he dared to believe it, and then turned to look at Tong who was behind him. Where is the power of 100 times the soul? I was very serious at first, but when I got to the back, I suddenly understood. I have been burning the power of my soul, and my perception has reached 100 times, but I just haven't found it, so I think it is very simple to pass the blood. Jushin's deity also realized it later, and was spared by the words to Jushin's body. After a while, he said something. 100 times the power of the soul, that's a little more difficult. Jian Wushuang paused in his heart. If the power of the soul is 10 times, it is normal, but 100 times it needs to be empowered. Endowed with supernatural powers, the innate ability of that gentleman. Spirits, such as ancient demons, are also gods and demons, and the life level of ordinary people is 100 times and 1,000 times, and the cognition of the strong is normal. But the power of the soul, the family is the same. It takes hard work to improve. After reaching a certain level, create special creatures by yourself. For example, Jian Wushuang's deity, creating special life with his own universe, so that the other party's life level can reach 10,000 times. In addition to the level of life, it also creates the special life of the soul. For example, when the other party is just born, the soul level is about 10 times higher, and it can reach 100 times when he becomes an adult, which is a problem. Life is like the soul. The level of life can be broken thousands of times, but it is difficult for the soul to ascend to that level. If he devours the beast, his spiritual power can surpass that of the universe God, the Lord of the universe itself, but the soul is comparable to the of the sky. Over 2 levels. And across levels. If the level of divine power transcends, it is quite simple. The Lord of the universe, who can rival the combat power of the Kong God, has almost achieved it. Only the power of the soul, without the fate of the realm, can do it no matter how hard and no matter how talented it is. The speciality of the soul. And the world inside the altar, from the blood fog to the blood color, is a very elegant soul. See that the temple has high expectations for the soul. The present soul, although an ordinary soul, still burns the mind power of the soul's improvement, and it is naturally wrong to reach 100 times. That's it. Jian Wushuang, who suddenly understood, also stimulated Jushin's deity. Enter the temple. Improve the present soul, thereby speeding up the recovery of the soul deity in the 9 prisons tower. In the 9 prisons tower, no physical body will affect the cracking of the first floor. So lift the soul, help enter the second level. Develop a peak treasure, improve the fastest speed of strength. And now I understand that if you enter the mundane world to recultivation, then you will take a special path. Give up everything. Give up that arrogance. To use the experience, but can be used indiscriminately. Take the practice path to the true extreme. Then send it from the soul. Jian Wushuang's heart is like a rock. Chatted with the true spirit who had been sleeping for tens of thousands of years for a full hour. Both sides opened up a new worldview. At this moment, the deity of Jochin has a world with the ancient domain in his mind. The master of this world has a split consciousness, known as the 9 dust immortal, and now he has reached the level of immortality. On the other hand, the young man, arrogant from Jochin, entered this place to accept the inheritance. After all, countless arrogances have entered this place, but only one can survive. Chapter 6346. The fastest update to the latest chapter. Jian Wushuang was the first person to arrive at the temple. There are many details in it. Jian Wushuang said it very carefully, and he almost believed it. All of this is naturally a lie he made up. Whether the other party believes it or not, he believes it himself anyway. In his mind, a world also appeared. It was an ancient domain before it was broken. 108 ancient domains in the upper bound. He heard the 1,000-foot saintess say, and later shattered 36 ancient domains, forming countless small worlds. Red Eye World is one of them. Before the collapse of these 36 ancient domains, they had also been brilliant. The Heavenly Fire territory where Jochin is located is one of them. At that time, the Heavenly Fire territory was the origin territory of Emperor Yen. This source is naturally innate, and if the acquired source has its source, it has become an emperor. Although the upper realm is huge, it is estimated that the emperor really does not have one. And from Jushin's description, he could find that the Yen emperor was and demon. The special life of the one path of fire is born with divine fire. In the Heavenly Fire region at that time, in addition to the Yanlong Hall of Emperor Yen, there was also a great hall with the same name. Divine Fire Palace. This is the hall in front of you. This hall was arranged by a super-existence in the God Eye clan. The first sequence Inheritance Hall. The inheritance of the Divine Eye is divided into 5 series. The first sequence is the strongest. The 5th sequence is the weakest. But within the Divine Eye clan, there is no distinction between strong and weak. Some people even practice inheritance in the 2 sequences, and their strength can surpass the inheritors of the first sequence. Therefore, it is not too important to accept that kind of inheritance at the beginning. The important thing is to cultivate. Integrating the 5 sequences into one is an act against the sky. However, even in the original 108 ancient domains, the inheritors who confuse the 2 sequences are very rare. As for the fusion of the 3 sequences, it is only a legend. Each sequence has 36 inheritances, and the 5 major sequences have 108 inheritances. If you want to integrate other sequences, you must at least complete all the 36 inheritances in the first inheritance sequence. Countless cultivators have been blocked in the pass. Jochin deity shook his head and smiled bitterly. Let's not say anything else, just the inheritance foundation required by the first sequence. I have not met anyone for tens of thousands of years. Jian Wushuang took a deep breath and nodded. He knew about the special inheritance of the Divine Eye. At the same time, he also admired this group, and even admired the powerhouse who created the inheritance of the divine eye, and he did not know how strong the opponent was. But to be able to create such a heaven-defying inheritance, the realm is at least the god of the universe. So, you are the true spirit of the Shinhua Temple? Was it created by the powerhouses of the Shinyan clan? Jiuchen nodded and said, "It seems that you know a lot. In your realm, you can know so much. It seems that you have a very high status in the Red Eye world." "I'm a contemporary Daozi, and Master told me a lot." Jian Wushuang replied without blush when he lied, and the other party was stunned. "This is also a kind of talent," Jian Wushuang sighed in his heart. "If you don't tell me, I also know that if you are a monk with 100 times the power of the soul, you can only say that my avatar is blind." Jiuchen was in a good mood at the moment, but he still scolded the avatar. "Show no mercy," Jian Wushuang said with a slight respect. "Senior, since I am here, should I enter that divine fire hall to accept the inheritance? Everything that should be known is almost the same. The only question is why the other party wants to break free from this temple and turn into a monk? Maybe it was because of ambition, or maybe there was a problem with the formation in the temple, so that the true spirit was no longer bound. The last reason is that the master who opened the temple has fallen. This is also the greatest possibility. When there is a problem with the formation, and the is lost, the true spirit will have ambitions. But how could there be a problem with the formation of the first sequence inheritance developed by a superpower house? There is a high probability that the existence has fallen, and the soul imprint on the true spirit is exhausted, and it can naturally break free. The remaining deity provide you with the fastest update of Wandao Sword Sovereign, which costs money to kill a great god. Chapter 6346 Sequence Inheritance Free Reading. https:// Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. Faithfully. The avatar that goes out is the ambition that splits out. From this, it can be reflected that Qixin was resourceful at the beginning. If you directly use your own consciousness to split the true spirit, there is no problem of betrayal. Because you are the true spirit, how can you betray yourself? Don't be afraid even if you fall. When Jiuchen heard that he was going to enter the divine fire hall, his expression instantly became solemn. "I am the true spirit of the divine fire palace. I was going to personally lead you to accept the inheritance, but you also know that my spiritual sense is too weak to lead you in, so." Jiuchen sighed first. He took a sigh of relief, and then continued, "But as long as you use the power of your soul to nurture me for 300 to 500 years, when I recover some spiritual knowledge, I can lead you into the divine fire palace." 300 to 500 years? Jian Wushuang's brows furrowed. If it was before, he would not frown if he added a 400 character to the end, but now he has no time to cultivate his soul for the other party. Xiang Yang and Jiang Shang are waiting for him outside. The ancient demon is a threat, and the plans of Jushin's clone and Li Miao may lead to the fall of Xiang Yang and Jiang Shang. Now he doesn't have much hope for Xiang Yang. Even if he finds Xing Luo, at most he will learn some world views from the other party. As for help, he doesn't need it at all now. The most concerned is Jiang Shang. The other party is Jiang Shang's daughter. With whom Jiang Shang would have a daughter, he didn't need to say more, he understood when he saw Hui Qing's Dharma portrait. This is the bloodline that Hui Qing left behind. It doesn't matter whether you can find Jiang Shang or not, if it takes little Jiang Shang out, it won't be too much for Hui Qing to kowtow to him a few times. He is very willing to see Hui Qing happy to forget before. Therefore, Jiang Shang cannot be allowed to die prematurely. Even if he doesn't accept the inheritance, he can't let Jiang Shang have an accident. The matter of cultivating the deity of Jiuchen will naturally not agree. Jian Wushuang was a little unwilling to say, "Senior, is it only possible for you to guide me to enter the Shinhua temple?" Of course, does not have my guidance, it is impossible to enter the inheritance hall, unless your strength can reach the sky-defying level, stronger than the master who created me in the first place. Jiuchen firm tone. Forced intrusion is naturally possible. It's just a level stronger than the powerhouse who created this divine fire temple. This is also a consensus. For example, in the inheritance formation arranged by Dao Jun, it is almost impossible to break through at the same level unless it is the kind of Daojun against the sky, such as the original Jian Wushuang. If it is the Emperor, it will be easily broken. Senior, what kind of realm do you think the powerhouse of the Divine Eye clan is? He actually created such an inheritance? Jian Wushuang tentatively asked. Jiuchen narrowed his eyes and said proudly, "You have a good talent. If you can accept the inheritance of the Divine Fire Temple, you may have the opportunity to detach and even become an immortal, but the Master's realm must exceed the immortal. Chapter 6347. The fastest update to the latest chapter. Beyond Yanxian? Is there a realm above the fairy? Jian Wushuang's tone was very surprised, as if he had heard some kind of shocking secret. This made Jiuchen even more proud. He hadn't seen the inheritor for tens of thousands of years. At this moment, when he met an inheritor with good talent, he was willing to brag a few words. The most important thing is to lure Jian Wushuang to cultivate his spiritual knowledge. As long as he reaches the top level, he can enter the Divine Fire Hall and use the power in the hall to restore his integrity. So he answered without hesitation, "Of course there is, but it is very difficult to become an immortal. At the beginning, Emperor Yan did not become an immortal. I remember when the Shenhua Temple entered the Tianhua domain, there was only one immortal in many ancient domains. Now I don't know if there are any new breakthroughs, and even if you are a Daozi at your realm, you probably don't know." "I don't know." Jian Wushuang shook his head blankly. He didn't lie this time. He really didn't know how many immortals there were in the upper realm, nor did he know the upper limit of cultivation in the many ancient domains in the upper realm. According to the information he knows now, it is good to have a Daojun, but if there is an emperor, it is a bit outrageous. In the original universe, world level divided into 3 levels. In the lower world, it is difficult for emperors to appear. In the middle world, such as Desiyu, there were many emperors in the glorious period. At the world level, it is countless times higher than the lower world. The higher world is even more powerful. An incomplete higher world in Tongtian Buddha realm can breed dozens of emperors. If it is complete, hundreds of emperors can appear. Back then, the world of Shang was extremely powerful, bred not only the ultimate emperor, but also the ultimate emperor of the 5th order peak. The 108 ancient domains in the upper realm, combined in size, are not as good as the lower worlds in the primitive universe. Unless each ancient domain is far apart and there is a large void, if added together, it can probably be comparable to the lower world. But I heard Jiuchen say that in the ancient domain, you can also meet the powerhouses of different worlds. Then it means that there are not only 108 ancient domains in the upper realm. Now what they think of as the upper bound can be collectively referred to as the ancient domain. In addition to the ancient domain, there are other worlds. This structure is the same as the original cosmic statue. The ancient realm of the upper realm is regarded as the big division realm, and the abnormal world is like the Buddha realm and the big dream realm. If so, the so-called upper bound is likely to be a universe. Of course, this is just speculation. If it is a universe, of course there is the possibility of an emperor or even the master of the universe. Jiuchen pondered for a while and said, "The realm above immortality is far beyond your imagination. It is more than 1,000,000 times stronger than immortals. Their abilities are already beyond your imagination. The ancient realm, in fact, was just a world created by an almighty person, and even its origin is very fragile, and it is incomparable to the big world where my master lives. Create 108 ancient regions at will?" Jian Wushuang exclaimed, "Is such a huge ancient region created by humans?" He pretended to be surprised, and it was considered to have obtained some information. The 108 ancient regions are not so special, and it is nothing to be created by someone. It is estimated that the strength of that person is at the level of an emperor, and it is likely to be the peak of an emperor. Even to the top. What's impossible? The powerhouse of that realm is called the Great Emperor. Jiuchen said proudly, "Don't compare this kind of great emperor with that Yen emperor, because Yen Emperor is not worthy to compare with those great emperors, no matter how powerful the Yen Emperor is nothing but a transcendence, not even immortal. The great emperor can kill the innate soul like Emperor Yen with a single look. This is true. At the peak of the ancient demons that were bred, it was considered a small invincible under immortality. Because of the high level of life, it was difficult to kill, plus the special strength and strong vitality, it was almost invincible in the same level. But their bottlenecks are also terrifying, and most are trapped under immortality. It is too rare to become an immortal special life, and each of them is a super strong in the same rank. But it's a lot worse than the ultimate way. Especially the ultimate emperor, who can fight across the ranks, and even kill the emperor. If you say it, I am afraid that Jiuchen will not believe it. Provide you with the fastest update of Wandao Sword Sovereign, which costs money to kill a great god. Chapter 6347 Dress up as a pig and eat a tiger. Read for free. https:// Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. After all, the world he experienced was still very weak. It was the early stage of self-cultivation civilization, and even deep conspiracy was able to dominate, indicating that the human race had not yet shown its advantages in the way of heaven. Once a breakthrough is made in the way of heaven, the human race will become stronger. The so-called ancient demons will become legends, or pets kept in captivity by the strong. Treasure from the beginning to the ordinary later. The ancient domain should not have existed for a long time, but I don't know what happened in those so-called different worlds. But these seem to be far away from him now. Jiuchen laid the groundwork here and finally talked about his master. The Emperor's powerhouse, you know a thing or two, and my master is an existence beyond the Emperor. His strength can create the world at will, and even in the master's body, there is a magnificent world, that world. Countless times bigger than the ancient realm. Jiuchen said, the more excited he became. Jian Wushuang was really stunned. The inner world? Isn't that the original universe? Lord of the universe. The master of Jiuchen is the master of the universe, and he is also the master of the universe who can integrate the universe into the flesh. At least 7 tribulations. Of course, the other party can open up the first sequence of inheritance temples, and even if they do not reach the 8 tribulations realm, they can also take the universe into their body. In Guyu time and space, he was like this. Seeing his surprise, Jiuchen was very satisfied. Those little thoughts in my heart began. It is nothing more than bewitching Jian Wushuang to cultivate his own soul. Once he recovers, he can guide Jian Wushuang into the divine fire palace. With his help, he can accept the inheritance sequence of existence. But Jian Wushuang doesn't eat this set at all. While he was talking to Jiuchen with useful information, he was researching how to enter the Shenhua temple. The sequence inheritance developed by a cosmos master is indeed not simple. And this kind of serial inheritance is not the only one. There are many inheritance halls in the first sequence, and there are several in the ancient domain. Of course, they are all occupied by big forces. It is difficult for ordinary people to enter, and it is even more difficult to accept inheritance. There are quite a few in the second sequence, and even the third sequence is occupied by some big forces. Those who received the most inheritance were the 5th and 4th sequences. However, entering this kind of inheritance temple is also calculated according to the tokens obtained by oneself. The weakest is the Black Eye Legacy Order. There are 5 inheritance orders of black, white, blue, red, and gold. 5 sequences, 5 tokens. As long as you have a token, you can enter that inheritance sequence. If there is no token, then the strongest inheritance is accepted by default. This is the scary place. Chapter 6348, the fastest update to the latest chapter. However, Jian Wushuang is not worried. He is not worried that he cannot bear the inheritance of the divine eye left by the Lord of the universe. The mood is there, the soul is there. Everything is there. Guide. The corners of his mouth rose slightly. He doesn't need it at all. Ignoring Jushin's nagging on the side, he just sat down with his knees crossed, and he no longer used his soul power to nurture the other party, but entered his own state with all his heart. Jiuchen was stunned when he saw this posture. Isn't this kid stupid? He was a little puzzled at first, and then he felt that Jian Wushuang's thought power was approaching the divine fire palace. To do so seemed absurd to him. The inheritance order thing can only be used when you enter it. If you want to enter the inheritance hall of the first sequence, you must have his guidance, but now Jian Wushuang is ready to guide himself in. Jiuchen thought he was crazy. Even more directly sarcastically said, "Boy, you are too arrogant. I said that the existence of the establishment of the inheritance hall is not something that can be imagined." Before he could finish speaking, he felt a powerful thought force appearing behind him. That thought force kept rising. In an instant he broke through the realm of gods, and directly crossed Vientiane, Yuanshan, and Mahayana into immortality. Jiuchen turned his head to look. It was Jian Wushuang. His eyes almost fell out in shock, and his voice became even more trembling, saying, You, how did you come here? No, why did your strength suddenly become so strong? Powerful? This time it was beyond his imagination. Jian Wushuang stood in front of the divine fire palace, with his hands behind his back, and said in a sullen voice, "It doesn't matter how I came here, why I became so strong, it is naturally that this place is isolated from the heavens, and without the suppression of the heavens, I can naturally return to the peak." What? You said heavens Tao suppressed? Jiuchen suddenly understood that he had been deceived by Jian Wushuang before. The mortal world suppressed by the Tao of heaven, that is to say, the avatar that he split off did not become immortal at all, nor did he open up a small world. Everything was fabricated by Jian Wushuang. The so-called Daozi is naturally not true. It is very likely that his clone has been destroyed by Jian Wushuang, so he can enter here. For a while, he couldn't say a word. Where Jian Wushuang stood, he clenched his fists slightly, and the powerful thought power swept all around him. The feeling of long absence made him feel good. Just now, he reached the divine fire hall with all his strength. Even if I found out, there is no heavenly Tao suppression here, but it is normal. This is the inheritance temple built by the Lord of the universe, which naturally isolates the heavenly Tao. Therefore, his sole deity in the Nine Prisons Pagoda came out directly. The mortal world can suppress the strong under the detachment, and can only maintain the peak of the gods. The soul is detached and has no body, and it will also be suppressed. So he can't go out in the outside world. But here you can come out completely. The power of the soul of the immortal level made Jian Wushuang feel his body and mind, and his mood naturally improved. Senior Jiuchen, I will go first. If I can pass the inheritance, I can consider helping you restore your peak, or even help you get out of this hall. The premise is that you have to recognize me as the master, and now you can start thinking about it. Jian Wushuang laughed and turned around and entered the divine fire hall. Jiuchen, who stayed in the same place, blushed at first, thinking of the boast he had just made in front of Jian Wushuang, and felt that he had been exposed to his old bottom, but later heard that Jian Wushuang wanted him to recognize his master, and immediately ran away with anger. Back then, he was schizophrenic and took the initiative to separate out most of the spiritual consciousness that gave rise to his ambitions. He was unwilling to leave the temple, so how could he switch to Jian Wushuang? You can come out alive and talk about it," he said coldly and turned his head. In his heart, even if Jian Wushuang is an immortal, he cannot be compared with his master. His master is someone who surpasses the emperor. A small immortal, he has not put his eyes on it. Even if he does not have the cultivation of the other party, he will recover on his own, and at most a few thousand years, he will be able to enter the divine fire temple again to guide everything. Simply indignant, he sat cross-legged in front of the temple and began to recover his soul power. Provide you with the fastest update of Wandao Sword Sovereign, which costs money to kill a great god. Chapter 6348. Enter the Temple of Divine Fire to read for free. https:// Update the latest chapter as soon as possible. Jian Wushuang, who entered the Divine Fire Hall, first felt the pressure of the divine power of flames. Through coercion, the master's strength of this flame divine power can be calculated. The divine power of flame mastered the ultimate way in the source of fire. The divine power should be at the level of a demigod, around 50 million. It was just a coercion that gave a rough idea of the opponent's strength. However, this kind of coercion should have existed for a long time, and it was only left by the master who opened up the universe of the divine eye race here. I am afraid that the true power of this deity is already comparable to that of the universe god. This is nothing, after all. This world is likely to have more than 6 stars in the universe god. It's just that he didn't expect that he would soon be able to come into contact with an inheritance comparable to the level of the universe god. It's been less than a year since I came to this world, and it's still a mundane world. I have to say that he was very lucky to have encountered such a big opportunity. Even if it is rebuilt, his chance can be so defiant. This is Destiny's child. He then walked inside, walked through the corridor of the main hall, and entered the main hall. There are no gods and no altars here. There are only some simple furnishings, such as incense burners and square tables. From the outside, the power of the temple is infinite. But it's very quiet inside. There are 6 futons below. He just wanted to investigate, but found that there are enchantments above. According to what he knew from Jiuchen before, the futons in this temple were all left by those who had accepted the inheritance. Don't look at Jushin's appearance that he has never seen a living person. That is because he has been sleeping for tens of thousands of years. And he has split too many consciousnesses, and the early experiences have been forgotten. The Jiuchen outside is different. Not only did he get the treasures such as the 9-prison pagoda, but he also said that he had experienced 9 worlds, so he named himself Jiuchen. These 9 worlds originally thought that they had experienced 9 ancient regions, but now they seem to have experienced 9 great worlds. In this way, he is not surprised why the other party will set up a large array of advanced ghosts, and the 9-prison tower is likely to be obtained from those inheritors who enter this place. Be aware that there are dangers when accepting inheritance. This danger will also fall. After the fall, the treasures he carried on his body fell into the hands of Jiuchen. According to the deity of Jiuchen, the foundation of this inheritance is the soul, and after entering the temple, it is a test of consciousness. The previous coercion even passed the test. Next, there are 3 levels to pass, as well as 6 screenings and 9 secret law inheritances. What he lacks now is time, and he needs to pass through such a level quickly. Therefore, the soul deity was hidden in the 9-prison tower again, and the soul body left behind was still in the realm of gods. Divine Eye inheritance has very low requirements for realm, and cultivators of Jindan stage can come in. Chapter 63-49. The most important thing is the physical body, strength, and mind power of the first 3 stages. The most important part of it is the spiritual power. Mind power mobilizes physical strength to form a great perfection, and it is considered to pass the first 3 levels. This Jian Wushuang is very confident. He turned to look at the wall in front of the left, where there are 3 lights. The first lamp is the flesh. As soon as his thoughts moved, his consciousness instantly entered the lamp. Here is a miniature space. There are also various fleshly bodies lined up in front of him. The flesh that is in control cannot use one's flesh, because it uses one's flesh. The level of the physical body, in simple terms, is to control the physical body. As long as you choose a body that you can control, you can enter the next level. Now all he has to do is choose the flesh, and then control the flesh. If you can't control it, you have to change to a weaker body. There are 9 bodies in a row. Jian Wushuang did not dare to be careless, and tried from the first one. Control is not about recognizing the master. You should first try to see which body suits you, so that you can judge. Start with the first one. It is said that the flesh is actually a flesh ball, and the power of the soul enters it and can be changed at will. He instantly changed into his own appearance, and the physical strength was determined according to the power of the soul. So now this flesh body is the flesh body at the peak of the phase realm. But the life layer of the flesh is 1,000 times more. It is already at the level of a special being. Ordinary human monks are really out of control. Especially the cultivator of the phase, I am afraid that just after entering the body, he will be expelled by the power above. No wonder outside the temple, there is a blood mist and a blood channel. Those things were acquired later. Listening to Jushin's meaning, they were made in the Skyfire territory at the beginning. At the beginning, Jyochin also had his own power. After all, his ambitions were leaked at that time. In order to avoid some weak people bothering him, he got the blood fog world and the blood channel. This is all made with the blood of ancient demons. He didn't know if it was the blood of the Emperor Yen. However, the master of the temple is also the master of the universe of fire, which is a bit coincidental. Jian Wushuang's burning thought power has been raised to 100 times the power of the soul, and he manipulates this fleshy body with 1,000 times the level of life without pressure. Even the thought power of accidentally burning is too powerful, but the fleshy body is oppressed and deformed. No way, there is no suppression here. He can burn as much thought power as he wants. Accidentally burned the power of thought to about 500 times. This is a soul that needs 5,000 times the power of life to withstand the flesh. Jian Wushuang's heart moved, and he left the body in an instant. Now that he has no suppression, he can use the second layer of burning secret techniques. Burn double the power of the soul, feed back 10 times the power of the soul. The power fed back is burned again, and the second stage of burning can return 100 times the power of the soul. For example, when he just started burning 90% of his soul power, he would return 90 times his soul power at this time, and then superimpose the second burning, and his soul power could break through 900 times in an instant. Moreover, the secret method of burning mind power has 5 layers. This is just the beginning. Of course, all thanks to the constant replenishment of his soul deity. It also contains the consciousness of the beast, which is the most terrifying power. The consciousness of the beast is equivalent to the consciousness of the starry sky. After all, the starry sky was created by the beasts. The things in the starry sky, including those so-called congenital spirits and nurtured spirits, just spirits, no matter how powerful they are, all come from the material of the beast themselves. His mind power contains the will of the beast, that is, the will of the starry sky. Such a strong willpower is not comparable to the special life forms that have been bred after the differentiation of unknown layers. He simply didn't try the second body, and went directly to the third body. The soul enters, changes its appearance, and burns the power of thought. After a familiar set of procedures was completed, he began to manipulate the flesh. He performed all the exercises of the fists, feet, and legs. No pressure at all. The life level of this flesh body has reached 9,999 times. It was the last mile away from the perfect special life at the cosmic level. Naturally, this kind of flesh can't be looked down upon. Then try the fourth physical body, a perfect special life at the cosmic level, with a life level 10,000 times greater. This time it seems to be handy. But seeing the 5 flesh bodies behind him, he took a deep breath and suddenly realized something was wrong. The existence of you who made this first-order shrine is comparable to the God of the universe. It's not surprising that he can get cosmic-level perfect special life, and he can even create it. Above the cosmos level is the special life of the space-time level. It is a special life with more than 10,000 times the life gene. It is not too rare, and it is easy to get. But among the 5 physical bodies in the back, will there be special beings at the star level? Out of curiosity, he began to try a 5th body. This time, he used the second layer burning mind power secret technique to the extreme. Reached 1,000 times the power of the soul. But even his physical transformations seemed a little difficult. His life level has reached 30,000 times. Jian Wushuang endured the oppression, and Yu Kenshu www. Changed his appearance with difficulty, but his movements became very rigid. Ken couldn't pass the 3 tests, but he was unwilling to choose a mediocre cosmic body. Increase the burning power again. The 3rd level burns and destroys. The power of thought instantly increased from 1,000 times to 5,000 times. This time it wasn't that he couldn't manipulate the body, but that the body couldn't bear him. But at the moment his soul is a little struggling. Although he has been replenishing it, it is only the realm of the gods after all. It seems that the realm has to be improved. As soon as his thoughts moved, a small hole appeared in the Nine Prisons Tower, and his soul deity returned, but he maintained his realm to the level of Yuanshan. This level can be regarded as stepping into the field of law, which is very similar to the previous law master in the indigenous world. In the Orthodox realm division, the master of the law is already the peak of the primordial spirit. After Jian Wushuang suppressed the realm at this level, the soul really relaxed a lot. The primordial spirit level can cut off the spirit, the divine sense will become extremely powerful, and naturally it can withstand more burning. He was no longer satisfied with this fleshly body, and his thought power went directly to another avatar. By the way, I can divide the power of my soul to control the rest of my body. How will I judge if I inherit it in this way? This sudden thought made him feel very interesting. And these fleshly bodies are spherical fluids, born with immortality. Couldn't it be merged into one? Because every physical body is the limit level in the same realm. 9 limits. He suddenly wanted to try the strongest fleshly body. The first physical body, 1,000 times the level of life. The second body, 5,000 times the level of life. The third body, the level of life is 9,999. Chapter 6350. The fourth body, the level of life is 10,000 times. The first 4 physical bodies, if they are divided uniformly, are considered to be the special life level at the cosmos level. The upper limit of the cosmos level flesh body is 10,000 times, and the lower limit is doubled. Ordinary monks of the human race have twice the level of life in adulthood. If you want to improve, you need acquired efforts, but no matter how hard you work, you can increase the level of physical life to 10 times the limit. The subsequent improvement is mainly to use treasures to improve. For example, the whole body of a special being is a treasure, using the blood of a special being as a reference, and then diluting it into your own body. This is the simplest and most rude method. There are many such methods. Like other ethnic groups, the life gene of the demon clan is about tripled, and the refining of demon pills can also be improved. But there is always a limit to improvement. For example, by absorbing special beings at 1,000 times the level, one's own body can reach 999 times. Unable to break through the level of the original owner. Theoretically, ordinary human races cannot reach the perfect body of the universe only by relying on the special life in the universe. Unless you jump at the cosmic level and absorb special life at the time and space level, you can break through the cosmic level flesh. But after all, the physical body is a sidewalk. Everything is based on divine power. At the beginning, with the help of Shanjun, his physical body completed 10 times of tempering in Magic Sound Mountain, perfectly fused the physical body with the divine body, and created his perfect divine power. That is the big head to enhance the combat power. But if you want your combat power to exceed the limit, you must do everything to the extreme. Even if it is a side-by-side approach like the fleshly body, you must do it to the extreme. Let's talk about the special life of the space-time level. The fifth fleshly body, 30,000 times the level of life. He divided the power of the soul and went to the sixth and seventh flesh. These 2 fleshly bodies, one is 50,000 times, the other is 80,000 times. His soul level has been burned to a 10,000 times level, and it is not difficult to manipulate the flesh of 3 space-time level special beings in a row. Because his 3 soul avatars can burn to 10,000 times the level. In this way, it is possible to control 100,000 times the perfect special life in the space-time level. The 8th body, the level of life is 100,000 times. This is the pinnacle of the space-time level. He has encountered a lot of time-space level perfect special beings, but he has not studied them carefully. It is only now that I discovered that the perfect special life at the time and space level is not the beast god. The power of the beast contained in that power is more pure, much purer than the power of time and space. That's why his strength can be so powerful. Now that the physical body can be on par with the world beast, it is not as simple as a side-by-side approach, but it can greatly improve the combat power. So no matter what, he has to manipulate this body, and even if he shatters the temple, he wants to get this body out. Although I don't know how the Divine Eye Clan exists and how to get this star-level special life, he must take it away. Even if he can't take it away now, he has to try it. When he goes out, he will kill Jushin's clone and get the altar, so that he can carry this First Order inheritance hall with him. What he has to do now is enter this physical body now. The limit of special life at the cosmic level is 10,000 times, and the power of the soul needs 1,000 times to control. The special life limit of the space-time level is 100,000 times, and the power of the soul needs 10,000 times to control. Then the special life at the star level is more than 100,000 times. The power of his soul has to break through 10,000 times first. But he has reached the third level of burning mind power. Going up, it's not impossible, the key is that his realm is not enough. Transcendence, the limit of Mahayana. Jian Wushuang's soul power instantly soared, and his realm was also raised to Mahayana perfection. This is the last level below immortality, equivalent to ancestral perfection in the indigenous world. Further up is the immortal. Because of the 9 prisons pagoda, his soul also reached the level of Yenxian. If it is in the upper realm, it may directly soar to the Daojun, and the emperor is somewhat unlikely. After all, the clone who entered this world at the beginning was only a 6-star cosmic god. At that time, he divided countless bodies, and naturally his soul also divided many parts. So it's not very strong, because he didn't think there would be today, so he would care about this. Now that I think about it, I regret it very much, but without the determination to divide thousands of people, he would not have entered this world, and it was even more impossible to encounter a star-level special life body in the palace of God's Eye inheritance. Everything is a fate. Chapter 63-51. Origin. Then start now. Jian Wushuang burned the soul level to the 4th level. Soul annihilation, silence. This is the top level of burning mind power, and further up is the burning secret method of the 5th level. Even though he has maintained his realm at Mahayana perfection now, he needs to burn the 5th level soul secret technique, which cannot be satisfied by the immortal level soul alone. Because the 5th level burning power is not as simple as 100,000 times a million times. Even if his Mahayana realm can burn, he still needs a soul deity, and he must surpass the 5 levels of his realm. Above the Mahayana consummation, if you only count the Great Realm, it is divided into the immortal Emperor Yenxian, the Emperor of the Universe, the God of the Universe, and the God of Space and Time. That is to say, if he wants to burn the 5th level secret method, he needs to use his deity in the outside world. And it is only the deity soul of the deity before the soul can be divided into thousands. This is too heaven-defying, he can't do it now. Simply this star-level special life does not need him to burn to the 5th level, only the 4th level of soul extinction is enough. This is also the first time he has burned the 4th level soul extinction, because he can't use this level of burning secrets in the outside world. Burning soul and burning divine power are limited. Back then, he had the power of life, supplemented his divine power, and could play the secret technique of burning divine power at will. Now with the supplement of the soul deity, he can play the secret method of burning the soul casually. These prerequisites all require their own strong enough. Combustion. He gritted his teeth and shouted angrily, and the soul deity in the 9 prison tower was immediately absorbed, and his Mahayana clone gained 180,000 times the power of the soul. It's okay this time. He looked at the star-level special life with hot eyes. As soon as the thought force moved, the soul rushed into the flesh ball again. Strong resistance is still there, but there is no way to force him to retreat. This time, he went all out, passed through many obstacles, and completely entered this flesh. Force lock, soul lock, body lock. Mahayana is complete. Variety. Jian Wushuang manipulated the star-level physical body, and suddenly changed into his own appearance. When he can manipulate the body, the strong sense of oppression brought by him still makes him very uncomfortable. And all kinds of coercion kept appearing in his mind, like a world beast whispering in his ear. This interference has been attacking his will. Fortunately, his willpower already contained the power of the beast. This is what controls the body. It's just that interference and oppression that can't make him fully control this flesh, because the life level of this flesh body has surpassed 1,000,000 times. The life level of the beast's flesh body has also dropped a bit. But then it rebounded again. This time, instead of forcibly suppressing it with the power of his soul, he used the consciousness in his mind to kill the opponent. I don't believe it. It can only consume the body of a world beast that has been dead for I don't know how many years. He immediately sat down cross-legged, forgot everything, and began to fight with the beast. The loss of consciousness is the most painful. Being able to become more powerful is nothing to Jian Wushuang. Look who consumes energy. He was extremely confident. The consciousness of the two sides constantly collided, and even produced their own accompanying swallowing. Both want to devour each other. But Jian Wushuang's will contains Morosa's willpower. The power of Morosa is placed in the entire void, and it is the super powerhouse in the forefront. And the original owner of this body may not be weak, but Morosa has finally fallen. There are only a few remaining world beasts' wills in the remaining flesh body. This will, without even any consciousness, is like a madman. Just like an old hen protects a chick, no one can get close. Jian Wushuang, the weasel, used the same willpower to constantly nibble on the other side. After sitting cross-legged for an unknown period of time, he even forgot about the outside world. Fortunately, the Divine Fire Palace is not at the same level as the Red Eye Realm, and I don't know what the flow of time is like. If the flow of time is faster than the outside world, then the outside world is basically finished. If the flow of time is slower than the outside world, then there is still salvation. But that's not what prevents him from becoming stronger. Protect Jiang Shang, protect Xiang Yang, and even save Qin Yuan's life. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.